training program. Today we are going to talk about SharePoint and Dataverse mainly as a knowledge source, how we can consume it, what kind of limitations we have, what kind of features we are getting with. We'll talk about those things in detail in today's class. Mostly in today's class, we will be able to finish the SharePoint completely. Dataverse we will start, but will not be able to finish it completely. So maybe we will continue into next session. But at least today we will start our journey mainly with the SharePoint as a knowledge source. Then we'll talk about the different type of authentication method which are available for SharePoint, specifically when you are building any kind of agent. Then we'll talk about the distribution of the agents. So far, whatever stuff that we have done is, we just pasted into the chat window. But the in the real application, when we build our agent, we need to publish it. We need to distribute it to the specific group of people, or you need to distribute it via Teams, or you want to distribute via public facing website. So what are the different distribution channels are available? We'll talk about that. And after that, we'll start our journey with the Dataverse, where we will start the basic things and finishing. Let's see how much time we will get at the end, because generally the thing is that in specifically in the Copilot Studio batch, whatever I'm planning to cover up, maybe sometimes what happen here is like when we are actually performing it and we just get some sort of glitches, right? Like in last class we faced specifically that glitch. So today we are going to talk about that as well, and then on top of that we will continue a couple of things. So this can happen at any time. So course curriculum might be up and down, but of course we will finish that up. All right. So let's get started and talk about these things in detail. Hopefully in today's class everything will go smooth, everything will go fine, and we will be able to finish the case studies that I have planned. But let's see, hope for the best. Okay. So first of all, let's start with the continuation of the last class error, right? When we, if you look at the last class recording, or even if you have attended that class, at the time we started our use case, specifically the training inquiry bot is something which we have started. Okay. And at the time we connected one knowledge source, which is our SharePoint list. Okay. And this is the SharePoint list. Training inquiry SharePoint list is something which we connected at that time. And what happened was, when we were making any query to our Copilot agent, it was not working. It was throwing us the authentication pop-up. And when I click on allow on that authentication pop-up, even after that, it was not continuing that, right? That was the main problem statement that we faced last time. All right. What I did as a part of resolution after that, okay, I didn't do anything. What I did is, I just on the same day I didn't touch that chat agent anyway. On the next day I touched that chat agent and see if it is working fine or not. So on the other day when I started to make any queries, basically I got the results. Okay. And let me tell you as well, like this is the agent. Okay. And training inquiry bot, this is the agent, of course, like obviously one day ago, we just connected. Okay. So basically at agent level, I did not change any settings or I did not make any modification. But what I discovered from my overall learning for this list as a data source, because that feature was recently been introduced, and I found one thing from the official Microsoft source, that whenever you are connecting any SharePoint list or SharePoint source, usually in the background, specifically in the case of list or sometimes in the case of file as well, it is taking 6 hours for the very first time to synchronize that thing with your Copilot agent. After that, it will work fine. I mean, next set of data come up, it doesn't impact that on part. Okay. But the thing is that when you are adding as a knowledge source, although it was showing here like a ready stage, okay, sometimes it's not ready and it's just showing you the ready state at the time. Okay. So generally in the case of, this is a new learning for me as well, because SharePoint list, we never touch in any of our previous batches as well, because this is brand new, recently come up. Okay. And this is one limit. I'll show you the reference link as well, so you will get a better understanding around that. So 6 hours of synchronization. So we just added our list, we just make a prompt, we just try to do that. And again, it's not like, they haven't specified that 6 hours from when, 6 hours from when you added that as a knowledge source, or 6 hours is a frequency, like in a day, 6 time on specific time it is syncing. It's two different thing. Okay, but this is what they are saying, and one of the MVP, maybe everyone is aware about her, Lisa Crosby. She is very popular into this Copilot Studio space. So I looked out some of the videos that she published on the YouTube as well. See, she mentioned the exact same problem that we discovered last time. So it's not just us facing the issue, it's like faced by many people across the globe. Okay, so the strange thing was that just before that class it was working fine for me, that whole demo, and during the class it's totally failed. Okay, this can happen with anyone, so never ever assume that, because Copilot Studio, again, like, because it's a main AI based product, and sometimes you really don't know behind the scene how it works, because it's not even documented anywhere at the very drastic level. Okay, so this can happen, and that's the reason in Copilot Studio batches as well, I'm creating whenever, like, because to perform it complete live on the screen is sometimes like a very tricky. On YouTube we can just edit our videos, because whenever you look at any of my YouTube video or any other content creators YouTube video, we can generate the result the way we want. We really don't know how many prompt that user has added, right? The final outcome is mattering a lot. But here we are doing a live, so that matters a lot, because you can see the actual glitch that we are facing in our day-to-day scenario. All right. So now what I did is I did not do anything. I just give the time to it. I did not change any modification or any different setting over here. Okay. It is as is. All right, now what I need to do here is I just wanted to show you the result now, that how the prompt work and what are the limitations of that as well. Let me just tell you. It is not first limitation over here with the SharePoint list. It will not do the aggregation data for you. So let's say for an example, if you try to make a query that, okay, how many inquiries I get during this period of time. Okay, it is not work smoothly. And why it will not work smoothly, I will give you that reasoning as well, because there is one more thing which is come up into the SharePoint case, like licensing part. Okay, so there are two type of licensing. I mean, obviously in last session we uncovered the licensing part as well, like Copilot Studio has its own licensing, as well as Microsoft 365 Copilot has its own licensing. And generally SharePoint basically works better when you have Copilot Studio plus M365 Copilot together. At the time, grounding will happen properly. What is grounding and those terms we'll talk about in few minutes. Okay, but why it's not giving that result is just because of that particular thing, as well as this connector has its own limitation at this point as well, with respect to the way it is making a query, because there is no more customization. Although in case of Dataverse, it will give you better result because it has so many different configuration option as well in the Copilot Studio. But again, list part, like I mean, files are working very nicely. That's what I have tasted and I used in the production as well. But list just introduced, so it has some limitations. Okay, I will see that limitation as well over here. Okay, so this is the chat agent that we have, and I already opened this list. That is something which we have trained last time. Okay, now let's say for an example, if I'm making any query that how many training inquiries are there, okay, it will not give me the proper result because it's an aggregated result. It is unable to find out the result like, okay, how much count, because there are some limitations at the specifically knowledge source level. Okay, so let me make that query intentionally so you will get better idea. Then we will do some positive test cases as well, which will give you the proper result. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. I'm just making this query over here that, okay, how many students inquired for the training. Okay, let's see what kind of answer it is giving to me. Okay, so at least it is going to this knowledge sources. And last time that issue that we were facing, allow for the authentication, at least that will not happen, because we were clicking, but it after that it was not doing anything. That was fixed because it was taking some time in order to reflect that change over here. But again, over here you can find this thing as well, that, okay, the result that it is returning over here, that who has inquiry for the Power Platform training is 0, right? It is giving me the 0 result over here, right? Although it is not a 0, actual value is not 0. Actually, like whenever you click on this citation over here, right? Almost this many of almost when you look at this, you will get that 50 plus inquiries. I got it right, but it didn't give me because it's an aggregated data, and it just give us this kind of incorrect result. Maybe you can downvote that as well, and maybe you can just provide the feedback as well that this is incorrect. Okay, maybe that is something which is helpful to improve the agent or improve the product. But again, you can capture this kind of feedback as well at the response level. Okay, now what works best here at this point? Okay, I'm not guarantee right now that okay, whatever you are doing over here at this point will be last forever. Maybe after 15 days, 20 days, when you look, maybe this connector will give you better result because Microsoft is constantly improving that their knowledge sources, that connectors, and constant development is happening on this large language models behind the scene as well. Okay, and there is another reason as well which I am going to talk about in a while. Okay, so this is what you make a query and you get the incorrect result. Okay, now what kind of result it is supporting? It is supporting the result which are matching with their columns or matching with their actual data. So let's say for an example, over here I have one of the employee called John Doe. Okay, so maybe I'm just making some sort of query over here that John Doe's training inquiry. Okay, let's see what kind of result it will giving to me over here. Okay, and let's see what it come up with. Okay, so it again look at your knowledge sources over here. It try to find out the answer from the knowledge source and it will render it out over there. And let's see what it come up with. It's making a query. All right, and it just give you the information that it seems like you are inquiring about training for John Doe. Could you please provide more details about specific training you are interested in? For example, are you looking for the information on Power Platform training or other type of training? This will help me to provide you the most accurate and relevant information. Okay, it just provided you this information over here. Again, it didn't just give me the exact same information that I'm looking for. Okay, maybe I can just change my prompt a little bit. Okay, summarize John Doe inquiry. Okay, let's see now. Now what it is giving me as a result. Okay, let's see. Okay, it still doesn't giving me the result which I'm looking for. And trust me, this was working fine before this call. As I said, like, again, let me just simply write out the name and let's see if it is giving me the proper result now or not. Okay, let it to make a query. Otherwise, I don't want to confuse you guys until and unless it's not, no, it's not offering any good result at this point, although it was giving me few seconds back. If I can, in activity, if I can just make show you the previous calls that I made before this particular stuff around 3:20 or something. At least it was giving me this false result, then it is giving me this, and John Doe's course interest. It was giving me the result actually. Let me just make this as a prompt again and let me see if I can able to get it or not. Let's try this last thing. Otherwise, I'll just drop off this list part completely from this curriculum at least for this batch because it's not working as expected that we are thinking, and we are not doing anything incorrect. At least this is giving me the result. Earlier, the same result was a little bit different. So over here, like John Doe's course interest, this is what I make the query, right? And it just showing me that, okay, Power BI course. Okay, let me try something differently now. At least it is giving me that information. There is one more employee called Lisa Brown, and um, I'm just want to give this. Let's see what it is summarized for. Okay, so I'm just writing this type of query, Lisa Brown's inquiry information summary. Let's see what it come up with. And why this is happening, I'm going to talk you about that as well. So just wait for that. Let's see. So it works on a specific prompt, which is, see, this time it is providing me this information, right? So how does it work? Let me just tell you about that as well. That why it worked here. Okay. And you know, let me just do one more thing. This is like a training inquiry, right? This is my list name. And I just use the clear word called inquiry. That's how it realized that, okay, I need to provide this kind of information over here in order to populate this information. Earlier, what kind of prompt I was writing? Let me just do that. Let me just duplicate this tab and let me copy the previous prompt that we are having. Okay. So I'm just going over here. You can always have the whole conversational history also stored, that whatever sessions that you have made. So you can simply go to the activity over here. And before this one, maybe this is what we tried, I think. John Doe's training inquiry, right? This is what we were using. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me continue this thing and let me just make the prompt again and let me see what result I'm getting here. Okay. Will I get the exact same result or will I get the different result? That is again another taste case. We wanted to taste here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it looks the knowledge source. All right, and it is just giving me this result now. Okay, now let me tell you what happened, guys, here. Okay, and this is again one of the improvement we can do into our knowledge source. Okay, so when you look at this thing, okay, so right now it is just giving me this particular result. Okay, like this kind of information it is giving me. Okay, now what happened here is, like earlier as well, we asked the same prompt, right? But we didn't get this kind of proper information. It didn't make the proper query and just made that happen. Okay, when I type here like John Doe's inquiry, you can see here it did two parts over here. Okay, first time it just goes here. Second time also it tried to make query with John Doe's training query information, and it just look at this information and uh, give me that data over here. Okay, and when we look at this one, it goes to this source and I'm just getting this data. Okay, now over here if you look at this thing, okay, one thing is really strange over here. Let me just show you this reference source. When you look at this, okay, it was showing me that this response was generated using general knowledge from LLM. Okay, this is what it is showing. Now what is this general knowledge, which let's go to this point. Okay, and second query that it make, in the same continuation, it's just showing you the actual reference source that your Copilot Studio is referring here. Okay, now what is this common, I mean general knowledge? Let me talk about that as well. Okay, and let's check our history as well, where it did not give us the proper result. Okay, so when you look at this thing, right, John Doe's training inquiry, it was showing me this stuff, that okay, this response was generated using general knowledge from LLM. Okay, when I make the second query as well, it is showing me the same result, and then it searched the knowledge source as well, but still, that is what is generated from the general knowledge. Okay, now what is general knowledge for any AI model? Let me talk about that. So whenever you go to the setting option over here, if you go to the generative AI section, okay, there are so many different options available. Okay, and there is one option called general knowledge. Okay, now what is general knowledge? So the foundation knowledge that generative AI was trained on. To ground your agent only your specific knowledge source, turn this off. Okay, this is what Microsoft is saying. Now, this is like, you know, As I said, when we did the initial classes, GPT models are trained on a very large language, and so many parameters are used to train your base model, which is the foundation of the Copilot Studio. Now, sometimes when you are having dedicatedly your knowledge sources, you really don't want your agent to become over smart. That okay, use some web information or use the data that with the your base model is trained with. Okay, and this is what Microsoft recommending as well, and this is as to make the better search result we need to do as well. Okay, so whenever you are having your custom knowledge source, make sure you just turn off this feature, because we don't want our agent to become over smart on that. Okay, and second important feature which is available over here is this feature. Okay, tenant graph routing with the semantic search. Okay, now, what is this feature? I will talk about that as well in a moment. Okay, but let's just click on save at this point. All right. And now let's make the queries again. Okay, we will start with a fresh query. Okay, let's go back, clicking on cross. Okay, and let's start from the scratch. So I'm just making as is, and I'm just going over here and let's do a fresh test. So I'm just clicking on test again, and let me just refresh this whole query. Okay, and let me just cross out this session as well. Let's start from the scratch. Okay, I'm just typing over here like hi, so at least my greeting topic will be trigger. Okay, and let's see how it behaves. Okay, how can I help you with today? Okay, now let's ask the question over here. Okay, like John, what's the spelling for him? Just a minute. Like I'm just using this same query. Specifically, let's pick up this example. John Doe's training inquiry summary. Okay, and let's see what it come up with as a result now, because now we stop making that general knowledge to fetch the query from the knowledge. I mean, any random knowledge. Okay, we just be very specific that you need to look at your knowledge source in order to find the result. Okay, and right now you can see again it didn't work as expected. It just understand in a totally different fashion. Okay, and why it did that, we will talk about that as well. Let's just do some more prompting over here. I mean, let me just check again with one thing. Summarize Lisa Brown inquiry. Okay, and let's see what it come up with as a result. And now it is not still giving us the best result that we are looking for. You can see it is again giving us the worst result over here. Okay, so even after stopping that general knowledge, the results are getting even worse over here. Okay, let's try one last time over here. Because you raise your hand, you have any
Yes,
question?
sir. This blocking the general knowledge is for the knowledge source, not specific to SharePoint list. Correct?
No, 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 no. It's not like that. It's like, you know, when it is turned on, what happened is AI is trying to use its own knowledge as well to get some
Correct.
information.
Correct.
And if when you want to be very specific that okay, don't be over smart, just use my knowledge source, no matter it's a SharePoint or even if it is a public facing website or even if your Dataverse,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time you just giving the command. So yes, if you want the answers to be only fetched from your knowledge source,
Knowledge.
not from, yeah, at that time you just need to turn off that feature. Okay,
So, like in a previous class, you gave an example where you
right.
talked about or about just a general one about Tesla as a car.
Yes,
It was
yes,
so same thing is there, right? This is
exactly.
different.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is exactly the same. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so
Thank you.
now you can see it is giving you the result, right? We earlier we used the exact same prompt, but we are not getting the result. So this kind of inconsistency still here is, honestly, I don't have that answer still in front of me, that why it is behaving. You see the difference right away, right? We just refresh our session. I don't have any justification, because I'm like on this part, specifically on the list part. If you search on the internet, no content is available. Okay, this is first time, I mean, even I tried, and I'm trying to deliver you, and I just read some tips, tricks that we can do to make it better. Even that general knowledge is definitely matters a lot, because in the next case definitely we are going to talk about in detail as well. But this is what it is now. Again, maybe I'm thinking that this agent don't like John Doe. Maybe is it a reason? I don't know, because whenever we start any result from Lisa, I'm getting the better result. Sorry, jokes apart. Let me just try again with the same, and let's see if I'm getting this out or not. Or maybe let's see how it goes. Okay, and now let's see. We just turn this off, and let's see. Same prompt, but only thing is the name is different, or maybe it's get confused. That's the thing. Okay, now it is giving me the result. Okay, I don't want to try it now again. At least this is working for
Just
me. So
just one
yeah,
thing, Dhruvin.
yeah,
Just one thing. When you give the apostrophe, that time it is
yeah.
giving a
That's
problem, maybe.
maybe. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this. It's a good point. Okay, John Doe's. Maybe it's a point. Maybe. I think so. You are right. Let's see. So that means it's not able to understand that terminology. Let's see. Same way. Let's prompt it here. Because user can ask in any fashion. I mean, we can't restrict the users to just, ask like a John Doe, but you should understand. See, this time it works, even with the apostrophe, right? So
This strange
this is this
in
is
the
very
list, yeah.
strange. This is very, very strange. Okay. So anyway, hopefully this list will become better in the future, but still I am not promising myself to utilize this at least for the production purpose at this point, because of these limitations I found. Okay. Now, what is better in the case of SharePoint? Let's talk about that, which is file. Okay. But before that, we need to understand some of the terminology over here uh, that we need to consider in the mind. I can see raise hand from Vikas. You have any
Uh,
question?
no, no. Okay, we'll talk later on. Thank you.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay. Okay, so this is what it is, like SharePoint list, just in your mind, at least for this batch. This is newly introduced. Maybe just try it out after 15, 20 days, or maybe 1 month later, or maybe at the end of the training, we'll see again this result if we can, or maybe I'll create some content on YouTube for that, maybe when it become more stable. But at this point, you can see the result in front of your eyes. No matter on YouTube, you find 100 videos, they have the exact same result. It's not guarantee that you will get the exact same result, because YouTube versions are, maybe if I am creating this video on the same topic right now, maybe I can make the exact same prompt, and maybe I can just record at this point of time. No one knows what I did, what would be the failure cases, right? But this is what it is, the result at this point, at least for this SharePoint list. Okay. Now let's go one more level up, and again, the next level is more detailed, specifically about the file, as well as how this entire search is working in the SharePoint with Copilot. We need to talk about that in detail. What is the file size limitation, extension supported, and everything. Okay, so let's move to our next case study and talk about that in detail. Okay, so for that, first of all, I'm going to start with a new solution, because we are starting the new case study. And let me just open up that case study in front of you, that what we are going to do. I can see raise hand from Nilesh. You have raised your hand. Do you have any question?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So before moving to next topic, just wanted to check. Let's suppose if we are having more than 5,000 records in SharePoint, so do we face
Yes.
any issue here?
No, it is not giving any issues.
Okay.
Personally, I didn't try Nilesh because this is recently been introduced. Okay, but what I have observed, I only one video, good video is available on internet around that. Reza
Mhm.
Dorani's list video. He's
Okay.
according to his video, yes, more than 5,000 record as well is possible. It's just a matter that you need to enable the indexing on your
Okay.
SharePoint list. So
Okay.
simply go to the list setting level and make sure you set up the indexing which column you want to apply for a search, and it will work. So according
Okay.
to that, it is working. But personally, I didn't try this out because this is something which I can't try into my customer
Okay.
one because of the license limitation. But
Mm.
according to the knowledge that is available on the internet, yes, it is supported at this point. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
All right, great. Perfect. Next, we'll talk about the SharePoint libraries. Okay, and overall SharePoint as a knowledge source. Okay, so let me just simply create the new solution at least for today's class, Copilot Studio class 06. Okay, and let's just create this out and let's create our one more agent over here. So first of all, let me just explain you the case study that what we are exactly trying to achieve here. So this is the case study for one of the industry, Tatvam industry, which stores the different reports into their SharePoint document library. They want to build an agent which can answer the question from the document library that they have configured related different sales question. For them, they want to create one agent called Sales Genie. This is the fancy name that they have given to their agent, and which is an intelligent sales assistant designed to provide a quick, accurate, and insightful answer for all the sales related questions. Basically, it analyzes the sales data stored in the system, identifies the trend, and offers the actionable recommendation to help the close deal track performance and manage the pipeline effectively. Okay, and what they have provided as a sample data that using which data, I mean, we want to train our model. They have a dedicated SharePoint site over there. Okay, so let me just open up the sample SharePoint site first so you will get a better understanding around that. Okay, so let me just open that up quickly. Sales Hub. So I have a different SharePoint site called Sales Hub on my SharePoint at this point. Okay, this is a simple modern SharePoint site which is having the communication site template. Okay, in that I have this one of the library where most of my files are there. Let me show you the files over here so you will get a better understanding around that. Okay, so simply to prove couple of point, I have provided the file with a different extension as well. So you will get an idea that which extension files are supported versus which extension files are not supported, how the overall search from the document is working when you are configuring with the Copilot Studio, what would be the file size limitation. We'll talk about all those aspects in detail over here. Okay, and let me do one more thing over here. Let me just enable a couple of columns over here called file size. So you will get an idea as well that okay, what file size I have uploaded over here and where we will face a problem. Okay, so here I have couple of files over here. One of the PowerPoint presentation I have with the different Apple companies sales data for 2024. So this is what they have uploaded as a file where they have created this whole presentation and whole proposal of the sales, that how many iPhone, I mean, what kind of product they are selling, what's their sales, what's their trend. Okay, with the images and everything, they have this first PPT file. Okay, one file is one of the pharma company sales they have projected over here. This is specifically the investor guide for Dr. Reddy, which is Popular Pharma and BSE listed stock. So basically, they are having this kind of data, and I intentionally added this kind of PDF as well because you can see here you have graphs, you have images, you are having the content, everything is there into this PDF. Okay, and basically it's just showing this kind of different information on specifically like investor presentation. Okay, so this is one PDF copy. All right, next I have Let me just close this out. I have Maruti Suzuki sales for 2024. So this is again simple PDF file, but again, here I'm focusing more on the tabular data. So when I make a prompt, and let's say if you have this kind of content, will my Copilot will be able to understand that? That's the main aim for having this file in place. Okay, and you can see here I have like 2024, 2023, and this is some one pager file I do have over here. Okay, so this is another sales data. I uploaded Excel as well because I want to prove couple of points on that as well, that okay, I have Excel data, and this is specifically like a more tabular data into this fashion, like product data, order, unit price, sales amount, blah blah blah. This type of information I do have over here. Okay, now sales data. After that, I have like some of the contract information in the Word file. Like this is one of the contract for in between Samsung and ISRO, specifically to use the Indian navigation system to use into the Samsung phone, because not I mean, this is just one of the contract that I find from the internet, which I just make it as a Word file over here. So every company, like no matter like even any cell phone company, basically they, when they are using any map, no matter it's a big map or maybe any other navigation system, they have the contract in place that okay, what kind of money you are getting, granting, and how much you will be able to access their services and all. So this is one of the contract between Samsung and ISRO that I just added into this kind of simple Word file over here. Okay, and next we are having one of the annual report, which is Popular Club YMCA, which is showing over here. Like YMCA offers has its presence across worldwide, and they offer the different kind of program. And you can see again, this is a PDF, but again, it's more color, more small font, more this kind of description, right? It is there. All right, almost like 44 pages of PDF I do have over here. Okay, and SharePoint file at least working better compared to the list. Okay, so we'll see the result as well, but this is what they are having as a one document library. Currently, for this testing purpose, we are checking it with the limited set of data. But let me tell you about couple of limitations over here from the beginning itself, that what would be the maximum file size supported, what's the minimum file size supported, what's the maximum file supported. Okay, we'll talk about that as well in a while. Okay, but first of all, let me do one thing. We'll talk about all of those things while my model is getting trained, being training. So at least we can utilize that time in order to discuss about the limitation. But let's start at least building the agent so you will get a better idea. Now you know what's the purpose over here. My purpose is to go to my sales SharePoint site, look at my documents and look at my stuff and give me the information. Okay. Now, SharePoint as a knowledge source offer different functionality in the Copilot Studio. Now let's start talking about that in detail. And for that, we will start creating our agent from the solution over here from scratch. And let me just close all the unnecessary tab that I have on my screen at this point. So let's start and let's create a new automation agent at this point. So I'm creating new agent, and let's provide the name of the agent first. So over here, this is what they have proposed, that sales genie is something which is their sales agent. Okay. And let me tell you, if you want to perform the same exercise at your homework, I have provided all the sample files to you over here. These are all the sample files. You can probably utilize, I mean, I uploaded already. So if you go to the use case specifically, when I'll upload today, these are some of the files that I'm providing to you. Maybe you can just upload and maybe just look at like how it behaves. Okay. Also, I'm going to upload some of the extra files as well. Maybe if you want to do some more, want to upload some more file and wanted to make some taste around that as well, you can do that as well. Maybe you can check the result again that. So I'm just providing you this sample file. So maybe you can just upload to your SharePoint and test it out. Okay. Now let's let's get start and talk about this thing in detail. So this is how I started my agent creation process. I'm not wasting my time today to explain you instruction and description. Again, it's complete Gen AI based agent that we are going to use from today's class onwards. And let's just provide some names over here. So again, what I have done here is I provided every description, every instruction over here into this file as well. You can simply copy paste, because now you know what is a description, what is instruction that you wanted to provide to your agent. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm simply providing my agent name as Sales Genie. Let's just provide that Sales Genie. And I'm just providing over here 2.0 at this point, because before this class, just for the backup purpose, I created one version because I don't want this class to be stopped in between if it doesn't work properly. Okay, so I created one initially, so I'm just providing the name as 2.0 over here. I'm just providing some sort of icon over here. So let's just go there, and I just provided some sort of icon over here. Let me just upload this small icon, so at least my agent will get some beautiful icon. Let's provide some description. So I'm just providing over here a little bit description that what's the purpose of this. So Sales Genie is your intelligent sales assistant designed to provide quick, accurate, and insightful answer to all sales related questions. It analyzes sales data stored in your system, identify the trend and other actionable recommendation to help you to close deal, blah blah blah, and just added this description. Okay, instruction, let's provide some instruction over here. So I'm just providing this instruction to you. You can simply copy paste, or maybe if you want to read, you can. So basically what I provided here is you just need to provide the more accurate answer. You need to analyze the sales data stored in the system, identify the trends. You need to help users to close the deals, track the performance. You need to provide the response into more professional, friendly, and encouraging manner. Uses the conversational and easy to use language, avoid technical jargons, maintain helpful and approachable and proactive personality, avoid providing any financial, legal, or health related advice. Don't be over smart. That's what I want to take into this statement. And again, ensure data privacy and security in all the interactions. Again, when you use SharePoint, obviously it is 100% secure, and authentication come up into picture, so we'll talk about and explore that part as well. But I'm just providing this information and clicking on my Sales Genie agent over here quickly, and then we'll talk about the very important part as a knowledge source for SharePoint. Okay, so it's created. Let's see how it goes. It will take few moments in order to enable, and you need to make sure that a generative AI orchestration is enabled for you. Okay, so generally when you create the agent into this fashion, and when you provide the description and content by default, from yesterday's onwards, I have observed that it start enabling by default. But if it is turned off, you make sure you need to turn this on over here. Okay, so make sure orchestration is on and your agent is created. Now let's go to the knowledge source and let's configure with the SharePoint. And now let me explain the different flavor of the SharePoint. So specifically, whenever you want to connect to any SharePoint, click on the SharePoint option available over here as a knowledge source. Also, there is some other different flavor also available, that whenever you are uploading any file over here, okay, this upload file is mainly the file based stuff. If you recall our previous case study, you can train your knowledge source using the file as well. So at the time there were two options provided. You can use any SharePoint file or OneDrive file as well if you want, or you can, it's non-synchronized method basically. Okay, so basically, at the time we uploaded 3 files from our desktop. So desktop files, obviously when you are making the changes, you need to delete that and re-upload it. Okay, over here they have the synchronization option with the SharePoint and OneDrive. So if you are thinking that your knowledge source only uses this 1 or 2 file, you can use this approach as well if you want. Okay, we will park this option at this point because we already cover in the previous classes, but at the end we will revisit this point. Okay, but let's just simply go with the SharePoint option over here. And again, how many things SharePoint support versus not, we'll see over here in the detail. Okay, so number one thing is that SharePoint, whenever you provide the knowledge source, it supports three main things. One is it supports the whole site as a knowledge source as well. So let's say this is my site. It's not targeting to any library or any list. It's just like a whole SharePoint URL. Okay, so let's say my site is Sales Copilot over here, and let's say if I just provide this URL over here, at the time what happen here is this particular agent will look at all the content of your SharePoint, no matter which library, which pages are there. Even it supports the modern pages as well. So let's say for an example, this is your sales hub. Okay, let's say for an example, on a home page, let's say here you are having some sort of news or articles published. Okay, it will support all the modern SharePoint page at that time. Okay, and let me just open up one of the official documentation as well, which will tell you that what exactly it is offering. Okay, so one thing is that whenever you are using the SharePoint, any modern SharePoint page, classic SharePoint page will not support. Remember that thing. So whenever you make sure that if you want to use Copilot Studio and if you want the result from your SharePoint pages as well, it should be the modern SharePoint page. Any SPFX component or any customization if you have done at your SharePoint level, it is not supported. But at least modern SharePoint content is being crawled and you will get the result from it. Okay. Now, remember one thing, when you are providing complete SharePoint site as a knowledge source, it will look at the whole site and it will make the decision by its own that, okay, whenever I'm making any query that, okay, I want the investor information for Dr. Reddy or maybe how much sales has happened for Maruti Suzuki in 2024. Okay, it will make the decision by its own that, okay, whether I need to go to this library or whether I need to go to this file or whether I need to go with SharePoint list. It will make the decision automatically. And what happens is it will combine the result and show it to you at the end as a summary. Okay, let's say for an example about Dr. Reddy, it find two, three files. Okay, and maybe it finds some content from the different source. It club to count content together and give it to you as a final result. Okay, there is no such principle into that. Okay, in which order that search query is going to be happen. It will be more random. Okay, but let's say for an example, if you want to become more specific that, okay, you don't want to look at the whole SharePoint site, you just wanted to be very specific that, okay, my stuff should be found only from this sales report library, then you can be specific as well. So you can just provide up to your library URL as well, and it will just, instead of this, let's say I added this SharePoint site as a knowledge source over here. Okay, so let me just provided sales copilot and you added this uh, sales copilot site. Okay, if you want to be very specific to the library, you can provide up to library path as well. So let's say this is my library, so I provided this path and you can configure that as well. It's totally up to you that how you wanna configure or how you wanna, add this thing into your copilot SharePoint site. Okay, and if you are targeting your agent to do specific activity, right, I would recommend, okay, if you have a dedicated library, connect only that library rather than connecting your whole SharePoint for a better search result. That would be my recommendation over here. Okay, but possibility is in the both the places. Sometimes you want that entire share because it can be happen. Sometimes people don't want to just get the content out from the library or list. Sometimes they are having so much. Let's say many organizations the FAQ site. FAQ site is having mostly the modern pages, and they want, okay, we already have the modern pages set up over there, then maybe I can just configure this. Or maybe what happens is in the SharePoint, modern pages are stored into their style library. So we can target that as well, because behind the scene, no matter what your SharePoint site is, when you look at the site content and when you are going over here to the style library or site pages, this is like a page library, right, where all your modern SharePoint pages are there. If you are only want that, okay, not entire site but only pages that are created in the SharePoint, then maybe you can just configure the site pages as well. Like site pages also have the library path over here. Okay, so you can just configure this site pages path as well if you want to your SharePoint list. Okay, so this is how the different options are available. Okay, now what we will do right now is we will be very specific to the library at this point. Okay, but possibilities I already talked about you here. All right, now as per the best practices, we just need to provide some sort of description over here before we add that knowledge source into our agent. So over here you can see that I just provided the name over here. This is like a sales report, and I can just provide this knowledge source, provide information about different sales activities happening in the organization. Okay, you can provide some content like this and clicking on add to agent. Okay, now what happens is it will simply add that information over here. It is being ready, but let's wait for few more minutes. It's saying it's ready, but it sometimes is taking some time as well. We can taste that out, but I'm just making it ready at this point. Okay, now let's talk about some of the limitations which we are more interested to know, because okay, once you are configuring your library, how much maximum file it will support, how much file size it will support and all. Okay, now let me give you a little bit background before we go on to the limitation part as well. Okay, so let me just open up one of my notepad, and first of all let me explain you two more concept over here before we go into that part. In SharePoint, we are having generally for any database, it's like a more AI concept I can say. And to show that, I just have one theoretical concept which I just wanted to talk about over here. Okay, so number one, I wanted to talk about two type of indexing for any kind of data source, any kind of AI model. Okay, how it make the search query. Again, I know for someone asked you this question me earlier as well, like vector-based data sources, right? Now, what is vector-based query search and index-based query search? Let's talk about these two things in detail over here. So first of all, I want to explain you keyword indexing and vector-based search. Okay, what is that? Okay, so what happened here is there are two type of things. If you recall my previous class, we talked about the licensing. Okay, and at that time we talked about three different things. One is our Copilot Studio message pack licensing. Okay, pay as you go license. And third one is M365 Copilot Studio license, Copilot license. Okay, we talked about three licenses at that time. Okay, now let me tell you, generally when we are working with a Copilot Studio, usually we are having this Copilot message pack and pay as you go license. We generally don't have this M365 Copilot license. It is most of the case. Okay, now what Microsoft has played as a interesting game over here, let me just tell you about that. When you have M365 Copilot license, in organization, one license is enough, in order to have that capability enabled. Okay, so generally, whenever you don't have this M365 Copilot license, behind the scene, whatever natural language query you make, basically it work based on the keyword indexing. Keyword indexing means what? Like it will work on the, again, like you didn't train any keywords behind the scene. AI can automatically do it for you. But again, like how we are having the traditional topics, so you can provide the maximum capability, and when your search queries make according to that, it will try to find the answers from it. Okay, similar way, let's say for an example, let's say I'm just asking a question that, okay, Dr. Reddy investor. Okay, so maybe it will look at the Dr. Reddy word investor. These are the keyword it automatically identify. It look at your file, it will check the keywords that, okay, these keywords are available in this file, these keywords are available in this file. Let me just find out the answer, let me just merge the answer and give it to the result. Okay, this is how the keyword search work in any data source. Okay, now when this M365 Copilot is available, it come up with more advanced capability that is called as a vector search. Now, what is vector search? Vector search is usually use the synonyms. So let's say for an example, when you are having like Dr. Reddy investor, right? So what is the alternate word for investor? It understand that as well, like a human, right? So let's say for an example, investor is also considered as sometimes technical analyst, right, who is giving you the stock recommendation. Okay, or maybe when you are asking for, okay, sales data for Maruti Suzuki or revenue data for the Maruti Suzuki, right? So at the time it try to understand the natural language word that we use, and it try to understand that synonyms as well for you. So vector search is always better to get the better AI result to your model. Okay, but let me tell you now that how vector search is enabled specifically in the I'm just talking about the SharePoint case at this point. Okay, other connectors are working very fine with the Copilot Studio, but let me just give you one more detailing around that. So whenever you go to your generative AI section in the setting option at the very bottom, you know you have this option enabled. Okay, tenant graph grounding with semantic search. This is exactly what I'm talking about, vector based search. Okay, and basically this can provide improved search performance for M365 Copilot tenants. Available varies by the data source. Okay, and when you click on learn more, you will be redirected to this particular section. Okay, and over here it is just providing that, okay, what are the data sources which is referred by this particular option over here. Okay, and what is this tenant graph routing is all about. Okay, so what happened here is there are a couple of things that they have mentioned over here. Okay, number one is, if you don't have M365 Copilot license in the same tenant as your agent in, or you experience a lower response quality, I mean, turn off this feature. Okay, what they are trying to say is, okay, so what they are saying is, specifically this feature is, again, as I said, when you are having M365 license, that will provide the vector search and it will give you the more advanced search result. Okay, again, the thing is that this particular feature, when you are on the Dataverse search also work much more better when this feature is enabled. Okay, and the necessary condition here is you must require one M365 Copilot license in order to happen. If you don't have that license, no matter if this switch is turn on or turn off, it doesn't impact you anything because it will not give you that fruitful result. Okay, also there are some more stuff that we also need to consider about the different file type. Okay, so generally, whenever you are working with a SharePoint site, at this point, it support only three data types, three type of format for your better search result: Word, PPT, and PDF. If you are having Excel, let me tell you, it's not giving you, they are not claiming that it will give you always the correct result. Okay, Excel is working. I tested a couple of use cases from Excel search as well. But like, if you are becoming more specific, or if you are wanted to make the more complex query on your Excel, it's not working that expected that we are talking. We are thinking just base query it is supporting. They haven't documented, but it's still working. That's what my observation. Okay, but mainly they are claiming that it will work better with this three extension at this point. Maybe in future more extension will come up. Again, text file also work by default, but they are like mainly specific to this will work better with this one. Okay, now let me tell you about the file size limitation over here. Okay, this is again very important aspect, and again so many different things they have mentioned into this whole documentation, but what would be the summary? That's what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so generally SharePoint file. Okay, so if you are do not having M365 Copilot license, 7 MB file maximum per file it is supporting. If your file size is more than 7 MB, it will ignore that file, right? Again, this is unrealistic limitation because generally when we are working with the actual industry product, obviously we do not have just 7 MB file. We would be having much more bigger files over there, right? But again, 7 MB, if you don't have M365 Copilot license, then just with Copilot license, it will just give you the result, the file up to 7 MB. If it is more than 7 MB, just ignore that file completely. You will not get any result around that. Try this out if you want. Upload more file, try to make a prompt. It will not give you the correct result, or maybe if it is giving you the result but not like a exactly what you are looking for. So this is one limitation. Number two limitation is, what is the alternative for that? Let's say if you are having a M365 Copilot license, up to 200 MB file size are supported. Okay, so again, like 200 MB, it's again still a good point. Okay, and let's say for an example, if you have a requirement that, okay, no, 200 MB is again not sufficient for me, I want like more than that, then the only option left here is you can go to your Copilot agent. Okay, and there is one more specific option also available in the world of Copilot Studio. Like you can simply train the file over there. So that's what we have used in our second or third use case, where we manually uploaded the file over here. From your simply over here up to here, like 512 MB of file size is supported. That is the maximum file size limitation for this overall stuff. Okay, now they have just making this whole information in a complex fashion over here into this overall table. So let's just read this out. As I said, enhanced search result up to 200 MB. But again, my M365 Copilot license is required for that. This is again, I explained. If you want to load individual files or folder 512 MB, as I said, manually upload a file or manually refer the file from that location. Okay, while you can add structure files such Excel from SharePoint, agents currently lack the ability to write and run the code. Okay, again, they clearly mentioned this point, but specifically on Excel, they make one more mark. Obviously, we are not going to write operation in the Excel via SharePoint, but again, readability perspective as well, it will not giving you the good result. This is main thing that I mentioned into the summary, that when you don't have M365 Copilot license, right? At the time, under 7 MB file only we consider, and it just ignore the larger file size. And what they provided is an alternative, that okay, if you are using just a Copilot license and if you are training your agent from the specific library, try to make your content into the smaller part, make it like a 7 MB of chunk, provide more file and just have it over there. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, and there are again some limitation about the page, like as I said, modern SharePoint page are supported. So if you are having any custom CSS into the accordion and all, it will not support at that time for you. Okay, all right, so again you can just read this out. And again, like for list, how many maximum list you can connect? 15 maximum list you can connect. Okay, with respect to specifically the SharePoint. Okay, how many numbers of files and folders are supported? So let's say for an example, if you are having the SharePoint site, okay, let's say for an example, let me just give you some brief around that, what exactly these limitations are about, so you will not get confused over that. Okay, so here we connected the library. Okay, but let's say for an example, you are not doing library, but what you are doing is you are just going to this upload file option, and let's say you are becoming very specific that okay, I want to upload specific file only, and I want only the knowledge from that specific file. Then generally this is usually what we do. We select the SharePoint. Okay, we just click on browse items from here. Okay, let's click on that. So it will show you all the sites that you are having. And let's say for an example, from this file, let's say if you are picking up this file, okay, you are picking this one file and clicking on selection, so it will add as a knowledge source over here, like this specific file only you added, right? So how much maximum this separate file you can add? So separate file limitation is this one, 200 files. Okay, maximum 200 files. Okay, you can add. If you want to add any folder, 50 folders, like a separate knowledge you can add. Okay, and maximum 10 layer of subfolder, which means that your library should not have like more than 10 layer, like one folder inside that, another folder inside that, another layer. Okay, so 10 layer. Okay, that's what it is saying. Also, when you are uploading the file into that specific fashion, synchronization frequency, I told 4 to 6 hours that they are claiming, it's applied the similar for the list as well. So when you are adding for the very first time, you need to wait for 4 to 6 hours depending on the times of congestion to be completed to give the better result. Okay, so you need to, sorry, I'm reading wrong thing, sorry guys. Same thing here as well. Okay, so I'm a little bit, okay, 250 folders are here. Sorry, I was reading the OneDrive one. So sorry about that. And 10 layer of subfolder. OneDrive, there is 20 layer. Yeah, even here as well, 250 and 10, both are same. So don't need to worry about that. Same. Okay. But again, as I said, the limitations are here as well, like 4 to 6 hours of limitation and 32 MB per file you can just sync out from your SharePoint one. Okay, and 512 MB of file limitation is for when you upload the manual file over there. Okay, so this is some of the limitation. Also, there are lots of flows here, like your file do not have any special characters. Okay, maximum 15 files or folder can be added at once as a knowledge source. Okay, it should not be having any sensitivity labels applied on your files. Okay, currently no support of glossaries or synonyms and couple of things they have mentioned over here. Okay, so this is like always you need to look at this documentation, it uploading, it's updating frequently. Okay, but simply right now if I just summarize this whole long stuff over here. Okay, number one, let me just summarize into this fashion: multiple ways to add the knowledge source. If you are adding just a SharePoint and if you provide any library, you don't need to worry about number of files over there. That limitation will not fall under that. It will work fine even if you have 1,000 files in the SharePoint document library. If you are providing simply library path, it will work as expected. Okay, that limitation is applied when you are becoming very specific to the file or folder. So let's say if you are just using this option like add a knowledge, if you are just going to upload file and if you select the SharePoint, if you go to the browse item and let's say if you pick up 111 file, at that time you need to consider about 200 file limitation as well as 10 folder maximum, and again like the file size limitation is 32 MB for that particular approach. Okay, and maximum file size, I mean if you do not want to have directly in the SharePoint, if you are uploading from here, 512 MB of file as well supported. Okay, but for search, enhanced search with M365 Copilot, 200 MB of file size. Normal Copilot license, 7 MB of file size. Okay, and extension Word, PowerPoint, and PDF at this point. Okay, this is high level summary, what supported versus what not. They clearly articulated and they are constantly uploading as well. So you will get an idea around that. Okay, now at this point, let's talk about now the result. Okay, so we at least did this part and we just given some time as well to our agent. Obviously it's not 4 to 6 hours they are claiming, but for library at least so far with all my demos it doesn't take that long of time like a list. Okay, it's more stable I can say at this point, but let's try it out and prompt it out and let's see what kind of results you are getting over there. Okay, so let's test it out because we just look at the library. We just train this model with the SharePoint library location. Okay, so let's try to apply some random prompt now and see what kind of result we are getting over there. Okay, so first, let's go here and let me just make one prompt that let me search something intentionally from some of the Word file like this contract agreement between Samsung and ISRO, right? Let me just add some question around that. Okay, I'm just asking very generic question. Tell me about summary for the Samsung contract. Okay, and let's make a query and let's see what it start with and what kind of result we are getting over here from the knowledge sources. Okay, so it's just looking at your sales report and you can see that it just look at your library and your reference source is your document library, and you know this is completely very nice result it just articulated. Okay, summary for Samsung contract, this is what it just giving some introduction, this is like some details from it and some of the terms condition, and it provide you the citation over here as well that okay exactly from where it provided the content, and you know it just download the file, or maybe here as well it just provide the reference, so maybe it just open in your library, so it provide you this kind of information. Okay, and let's be more specific now. Now let me just ask a couple of more question over here like okay, this is one we added from the Word file, right? So as we said, Word is working fine, that they have claimed as well, right? So Word testing we did. Okay, now let's taste something from Excel. Okay, so let me just make some what kind of data I do have. Let's say whether Excel is working fine or not. Okay, so I'm just making like okay, salesman is there, item is there, right? Um, let's say home theater, right? Let's pick up this product. Okay, and let me just make some random query to my agent and let me just ask that how many where is my Excel? This one, right? How many total sales amount for home theater? Okay, let's ask this and let's see whether it will answer it or not, because as per the documentation, Excel will not give you the better result. Okay, but let's see, let's test this out. Okay, so I'm just adding like home theater sales, or maybe let me become more, how much total sales for home theater. Okay, let's make this query and let's see what it come up with a result. And let's see what kind of result it is giving to us. It look at the knowledge source, and here I am. Surprisingly, see, this is giving me this amazing set of data, but still we need to verify. Okay, because as per the Microsoft documentation, Excel is still not supported data source, but this is what I find. It's still giving some sort of better result, at least better than the list. Okay, like based on the available data, total sales for home theater product are as follow. It again, you know, become specific 2018 and 2019, and let's say it just giving me this whole data total 532 unit it just sold. But what we ask is total sales, but it provided me the quantity, it didn't provided me the total stuff. But let's just verify at least up to this point. Okay, let's say unit, let me just make a filter here manually. So I'm just making some filter, and let me just do the home theater here, and let's verify the result first. Okay, so how much total, let's see. I'm just doing the summation, and over here if we look at the unit sum, it's approximately 722. Okay, no, it is giving me the whole that result. Let me just do one thing here, very specific, because it just calculate the hidden data as well. Just a minute. Let me be very specific. Let me add one tab here quickly. Let me paste this, and let's do the sum now. Okay, so the sum is 722. Okay, so my result is incorrect, right? It's not giving me the, it's just like, okay, 532 unit, but it is not correct one. So again, the result is non-relevant, which is fine. So I mean, giving the result, but not accurate. Okay, let's ask some, be more specific, maybe like, let me just do this thing, like, Alexander. Let me just make this query in this fashion, and let's see what result I'm getting. Alexander's sales, sales data summary. Okay, and let's see what it will come up with as a result. And let's just at least verify that what kind of result I'm getting into. Okay, so Alexander sales data summary. So region manages East, item sold, he sold this. Okay, now from where it pick up and what data it is giving to me, let's have a quick look around that. So it's saying that television, he sold 95 and 35. Okay, let's see. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to this Excel. I'm just clearing this filter out first. Okay, clear filter from item. Let me just make the filter on Alexander. Okay, so let's see. Television, and it is showing two televisions, right? One and this second. Okay, and let's verify the result. So 95 and 35, does it correct? I think so. Yes, it is correct. Okay, so this information is correct. Two television sets. Okay, home theater, how much? Two. 60, 60. Let's see. I'm just going here. Home theater 60, 60 and 4. Where is 4? Let's see. Home theater 60, 60 and 4. Yes, that is correct. At least it is promising. Okay, next. Video game 16, 32. 16 and 32. From where? Video games are not? Yeah, 62. And what it give me? Okay, 62. Perfect. And let's do the summation as well. That okay, 16 and 32. How much is the sum? 58 and 58. Almost like that. But again, it just like unit price it is showing, which is absolutely correct. Okay. Cell phone, okay, looks good. So at least this is good result, right? I'm just getting it out. But the previous one was not that accurate. But at least it is searching the query and giving me the answer. That's good. Okay. So Excel partially it is giving you the good result. Okay. Now let's taste one more level up. Let's now taste with some sort of let me just close this Excel first. Let me close this PowerPoint as well. And let me just go to my sales report. Now let's pick up some information from PDF. Okay, and for that I'm just making one prompt for Maruti Suzuki sales. Okay, so I'm just having this PDF. Okay, 2024, and this is what I'm having. Okay, I need some more information from it. So what I'm making as a query is, let's say, um, Maruti Suzuki sales for 2024, and let's see whether it's giving me the result or not. Okay, after that we'll taste some PowerPoint as well. That okay, what would be the sales for iPhone, because we have some Apple sales data as well over here. So you can see that Maruti Suzuki sales for 2024, and this is what it is giving me the whole information. This is what it is: highest ever domestic sales, annual expo March 2024, financial year 2023 sales. Okay, breakdown: passenger cars, utility vehicles, vans, light commercial vehicle. Whole summary it is giving me, and it provide me the reference as well that it pick up from the PDF. Okay. Now, I wanted to be very specific into this one as well. Now let me make one false query, because I want to taste my agent like, okay, if let's say there is no information, then what it will reply to us. Okay, so specifically in this case, like Maruti Suzuki file, that is what we have as a one pager PDF, right? And we clearly see that it has the data only for 2024 and 2023. Okay, now let me make one intentional prompt over here that sales in 2014. Okay, and let's see what it come up with as a result. Okay, what kind of response it is giving to you. Okay, let's see. So I just make a one prompt, Maruti Suzuki sales for 2014, and let's see what will happen. Okay, it started looking at the knowledge source. Okay, and what it come up with, instead of, yeah, it provided a good result here at least. So what it is saying you this, the provided document do not contain specific sales data for 2014. However, they do provide detailed sales data for financial year this. Here are the key insights from the latest data. So it is saying that, okay, I do not have the data at this point in my system, but I do have some data like this, and this is I'm just showing it over here. Okay, so at least it understand this term properly and giving you the good result at least as a outcome or a result over here. Okay, so looks good. So we tested this as well. Now it's time to test some PPTs. So let's say, let me just open my Apple PPT and let's see what kind of content I have. Based on that, I can just make some sort of taste over here. So Apple also has some different data like net sales and blah, blah, blah. So many different information it has. Okay, so maybe iPhone sales, right? This is the iPhone sales performance. Okay, they have some figures over here with some presentation mode. Okay, let me ask some question around that. So let me ask something like, what is the how sales summarize iPhone sales, iPhone sales in 2024? Maybe let's see what result it come up with. Okay, so you just look at this thing. And currently, these results are keyword search result again, because we haven't enabled that tenant grounding, because that is require M365 Copilot license. But it's still, the results are good. But when tenant grounding is supporting, it is more better result. Okay, because it enable the enhanced search. But again, it is giving me this result. Okay, the presentation in depth of this product, sales performance. We just look at the financial overview, net sales, cost of sales, gross margin, operating cost, operating expense, income, net income, and again, like based on the whole PPT, it just grab this whole information and just giving it to you over here. So PPT data is also working fine. Okay. Now let's check some of the results from this kind of complex image file, where in your PDF you are having so big file, you are having so big tables like this and all, right? Now let's say I wanted to make it like a more specific around those PDFs with some more natural language question. Like, okay, how does YMCA is planning to expand its reach and impact in the upcoming year? Maybe because this whole PDF is all about that, like how they are, their business performance and what's their it is their annual report specifically for YMCA England and Wales. Okay, so let me become more specific, more advanced question to it. Okay, like what's the customer satisfaction, or maybe what's the plan of impacting, I mean, reaching out in the future in upcoming year and all, right? So let me just ask this thing. Tell me about customer satisfaction for YMCA, and let's see what it come up with as a result. Okay, and it look at the PDF, it just look at the file, and this is what it come up with, that YMCA customer satisfaction 2024 have focused on the various key initiatives they provided over here. The initiative reflects improving customer satisfaction through the strategic investment, international representation, and focused impact on the measurement effort. So it provided the proper information that what are the key things that they need to focus and what are the different programs they are running and giving the results over here. You can look at the PDF and you can verify the result as well. Okay. Now let me ask that uh, more thing like, okay, uh, let me ask some big question over here, more general language question like this. How does YMCA England and Wales plan to expand its reach and impact into coming years? Okay, so this is what it will showing the future strategy. And again, like to understand that context and give it to the answer from the big PDF like this itself are challenging. And then we will test out few things as well. We can ask some random question to it and see what kind of result we are getting. Okay, like strategic objective, they have over here like some pillars, some goals over here, right? So we will ask some next question around that okay, 2022, 2020, 30, National Council of YMCA strategy. Okay, we'll ask something around that as well on the later question. Okay, but let's see what it responded over here. So see here as well, they just mentioned in upcoming year. Okay, so again, you looked at that page that we just seen. From that, it find out that okay, 85 delegates attending World Council in 2022, 8 delegates from this change agent program, then impact measurement they wanted to see, collaboration partnership, and this is what they are planning, you know, to be highlighted as a more impact measurement and strategic partnership. Okay, let me become more specific around that. Like, okay, we looked at some of the content from the PDF over here as well, like strategic 2022, 2020, 30, uh, National Council of IMCS strategy. Okay, so I'm just asking, let me just copy these few things over here. What's the 2020, 2030 strategy for YMCA Council? Want very summarized and not a long answer. Let me try this as well. Let's see whether it is able to understand this context or not. Okay. Okay. So this is what it come up with. Vision, a foundation of the group, and again exactly pick up the content from that and giving to very easily like this. Okay. Now let me try one more thing over here. Like I just wanted to be it like okay, make it make the above answer to be less than 100 words. Okay, let's see if it is able to understand this or not, because in ChatGPT generally this kind of prompts are supported, right? Now let's see here what it will do and give you as a result over here. Okay, and let's see over here. So at least the respond is reduced. I believe these are 100 words compared to this whole big answer, but at least it is giving me At least it is understand the previous context that we have supplied it over here. Okay, and you can see in this debug mode as well, and you just make it like a make the above answer to be less than, and it understand that this is what I want. I mean, this is what it understand and make as a query, and I get as a result. Okay, so this is how the overall documents are working with the SharePoint and Copilot Studio. Again, SharePoint, you can see at least it is more promising result. Okay, but let me tell you again one thing. If you go with this Copilot, okay, and let's say if you go to the setting option of the Copilot and scroll down a little bit, and as I said here, that it's tenant graph routing, it's always enabled by default. In case if you are having M365 Copilot license, then this result is more even accurate. It will even support larger file like 200 MB of file as well. So you will get some more advantages using this option. But at this point, with only Copilot Studio licenses, 7 MB is the maximum file size. If you are having large file, it will just ignore those files. Personally, I feel that thing. If you try to make the question, it will not give you the accurate answer from the larger file just with the Copilot licenses. Okay, but let me tell you one more important thing here that nowadays, earlier, like when if you know, maybe I'm not sure how many of you know, but SharePoint also has its own native Copilot nowadays available. Okay, so when you are going to any SharePoint site over here, if you are having Microsoft 365 license, Microsoft 365 Copilot license, at the time on the top right corner here in the SharePoint itself, they are having Copilot option available. Okay, and that Copilot is something which is working much better from your SharePoint perspective. It is because it is intended to use for the SharePoint cases. Okay, so nowadays people who are having the M365 Copilot license, they are usually creating their Copilot because the ultimate purpose is to utilize within the SharePoint itself. Sometimes only they are looking at the Teams integration and all. So generally they are using that Copilot as well. But at least this is what it is giving as the high level idea that what level of customization you can do it over here. Okay, again, file size limitation, I'm again talking about here. If you are using this SharePoint option, if you are consuming any document library from it, 7 MB is the maximum file size that will support with this only Copilot Studio license. 200 MB for enhanced search result if you are having the M365 Copilot license. If you are using this option and using this SharePoint option over here, and if you select static file one by one over there, there is a limit of 32 MB of file size which it supports. If you are just using normal file upload from your Windows system and upload any file from your computer, at that time file size limit is 512 MB. Okay, so these are few things which you need to consider in your mind. Again, this is changing frequently, so look at the official Microsoft documentation whenever you refer. I provided all the reference link and entire table for limitations as well as this stuff I already provided over here. And what do we mean by keyword and semantic search? That is also something we talked about. Okay, so this is like a at this point, this is latest up to date, which I'm going to upload after today's class. And these are the reference link. Maybe in the future, if you just want to revisit, just look out this reference link and just go from that. Okay, it's I mean, when you read the documentation, again, sometimes we are getting confused. So that's why I clearly articulate only the things which is at least necessary for you to understand and to know over here. Okay. So this is all about the SharePoint as a knowledge source summary with libraries, or even if your SharePoint site is there, this is what you feel as an experience. List, as I said, again, didn't promising, but still we covered. So this is all about it. Okay, I would like to open the stage now for Q&A. If anyone has any question around this entire, again, like it's not something we did as a rocket science over here, at least with the SharePoint right now. We just did this, but again, very important thing to know about this limits and file size, file extension, and all. Okay, so now I'm opening the stage for Q&A. I can see first raise hand from Anand. You have question?
Yeah, Dhruvin, one confusion is going on in my mind about the license and the thing. Can you open the license page which was on the last class and just give a summary, which is like a visualization, like this license will have this much and this license will have this.
Just a minute. Let me just open that license guide. So this is what the license guide we talked about last time, right?
Yeah,
Just a
yeah.
minute. Let me just go to, sorry, not this one. Where is that? Maybe it's my download. Let's realize. Just a minute.
That one it was.
Just a minute. Yes, this is what it is. Okay. Okay. Summary. So I'm talking
Yeah,
about
this page,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
M365 Copilot license. Okay. Simple. When you want more than 7 MB file of support, like 200 MB file size, this is what you need to have it. Okay. Simple. This is $30 plan. Even one license at the organizational level, if you have, you can do up to 200 MB file because it is showing you here like, okay, tenant grounding, that feature is require this specific license. Okay, so enhanced search require this license. All right, so this is like up to 200 MB. If you are just having this, or if you are just having this, 7 MB is the file size which is supporting. Okay, hope up to this point it is clear for you.
Yes,
What do
but
you mean by
what?
one
Sorry,
license?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one means like that user has to be logged into the SharePoint at that time.
sorry.
So
Let's suppose I have 10 people in my organization and I have only one Microsoft 365 Copilot for one user. Okay. So the SharePoint has to be on the ownership or the tenantship of that one user.
There are again different kind of options available over there. Uh, I mean, it depends what kind of authentication you are setting. That is my next topic. But let me tell you to summarize your answer. If you are sharing with 10 people don't require 10 licenses. Only user which you configure this Copilot Studio with. I mean, agent, let's say for an example, you build with your account or your developer account, only that developer account require the Copilot.
Yeah.
I mean, this M360, not all the users in the organization require, only single license is sufficient for the enhanced search result. Not every individual one require that enhanced. I mean, Microsoft Copilot 365 Copilot license.
So the
Okay.
developer should be the same person who has this license,
Yes. Yes. That's correct.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So you are
Yep.
saying for testing purpose and everything, we need to have this license. Once it's been deployed and the organization is having a Copilot 365, okay,
Mhm.
things will work for the all the users.
That's correct. That's correct. Because the Copilot Studio is not like a per user license. Even over
Correct.
here, you can see, right? It's a capacity based license. So, let's say my account is contact@powerplatformtrainings.com. So if I do have, again, I'm a developer, okay, this pack subscription is assigned to that environment. And I already have the Copilot. I mean, last time as we seen that we need to assign this developer license, which is $0 license to the person, right? So if I'm having this and I'm having this Copilot Studio, I mean M365 Copilot license, then yes, I'm done. I mean, when it's being published, we don't require each individual users to be assigned with M365 Copilot license or any license
Uh,
in short.
uh, Sorry, Dhruvin. Okay, I'm
Yes.
not looking for the expect perfect answer, but let me give you a scenario. Organization is there, XYZ organization is there, okay,
Yep.
and there are 1,000 employees are working there.
Yes.
Okay, on a SharePoint site, we create specifically one of the Copilot um, functionality. Okay, we give for very specific some report or something, sales report, like we have a sales report, Jimmy. Now we, as a developer, we develop it, we published it through a channel which you will be talking later on. Now at this stage, when the users, normal users, will be trying to access, where they will be fitting, will not they be fitting under Microsoft 365 Copilot?
So, so tell me one thing. Your users are, I mean, you said 1,000 users in the organization, right?
Yeah,
And I haven't published it yet, right? Let's say once you publish this agent, right? So
correct.
you are the developer, right? You are
Yes,
having this M365 Copilot license, as well as you are having this Copilot Studio license as well. Okay,
correct.
you have both the license. In
Yeah,
that case, those other 1,000 people don't require any extra license. It
okay,
covers up into this one only. I mean, it's like who is developing that will require that specific license, not all the users in the organization. That's how it
correct.
works in the Copilot Studio. Yes.
So Copilot, like you have Word Copilot, you have Excel Copilot, you have same way. So basically, once you have Microsoft 365 Copilot, which normally all the organization nowadays they are having. Okay,
Not everyone is
you
having nowadays. Not
oh
everyone is having. It is $30 plan because people are purchasing it very wisely. I'm not sure
okay.
about the organization you are working with. Not everyone is having because this is a costly plan. I mean, $30 for, I mean, Office 365 E3 license is around 35 to $40, right? And just for Copilot, $30, right? I mean,
Yeah, no. I agree on that front. In a small scale industry, yes, where I'm not in touch with too much now. Nowadays, all the
okay,
organization I work is massive. And
maybe,
as per
yeah,
my
okay.
and as per my knowledge and experience on nearly 5 years before when this whole thing, the numbers which you see $30 for the corporate is totally different. It could be $3 a year. And I have
Yeah,
a
it is a
experience
bulk
with one of
discount.
the big
Yeah,
organization. So big organization, they don't buy five, six. You're talking
yeah,
about 5,000, 10,000 slacks. So that, but
yeah.
the concept which you talked about, message pack. This is very interesting. My question is coming now. The important main question. You have a message pack, and you said the message pack works on a specific environment. In
Environment.
this,
That's correct.
yes, now organization doesn't have environment. They at a co-pilot layer, they are working normally. App
So
have
then
a
you need to,
app has an environment. Your SharePoint doesn't have an environment concept. Your Power BI doesn't have an environment concept. So how does that relate? Any clue? I'm not
yes,
looking perfect
absolutely.
answer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 100% clear. It's just a matter that when you are not having any environment, you are just creating, you know, I'm talking about custom agent. Okay, remember that word, Copilot Studio custom agent, specifically that case. Okay, let's say you created Copilot Studio custom agent. By default, if you don't have any environment, it will go into your default environment. That's a simple funda of Power Platform. So at default environment level as well, some sort of capacity to be assigned, right? There's message pack capacity. So if you go to the admin center right now, let me just quickly open that up. So I'm just going to my Power Platform admin center at this point. And if I'm going to the environment, just a minute.
But SharePoint doesn't have an environment.
But SharePoint, but if you create some Copilot here in the SharePoint, it's not Copilot Studio SharePoint, Copilot Studio agent. Even it doesn't follow any licensing from Copilot Studio. Remember this thing, this Copilot Studio that you are building, this is as a product. This product is called as a
Correct.
Copilot Studio Power Virtual Agent. Now,
Correct.
in your case, in SharePoint, here you are finding Copilot icon. This is not
Correct.
Power Virtual Agent or this is not a Copilot Studio. This is M365 Copilot, and that licensing is totally different. This is not a custom agent. This agent is something which is natively integrated into the SharePoint. This licensing is not to do anything with this message pack license. It's all covered with M365 license. So don't get yourself confused that, okay, here if you are saying that Copilot icon, then it is this
Uh,
Copilot Studio that I'm talking about.
Okay, so then we have talked about putting into websites. How does that impact?
Which website?
Now you said that it can be integrated to the website also.
So this is what it is. I mean, just wait for this. This is like a distribution channel. So my point, Vikas, here is 2 points. You are
Yeah,
talking about here as well, you can integrate into SharePoint. Let's say I build this sales genie, I can integrate into
yes,
SharePoint, but my base is this one. I built into this product, Copilot Studio. I did not
correct,
start that journey from here in SharePoint.
correct,
If you build
correct,
from here, it's a different product. But here, let's say if you integrated it, when you do the SharePoint, there are some
correct.
specific step you need to follow. If you just provide that URL add as a webpack, at the time, of course, it will use this message pack license. At the time, obviously, you should have an environment, right? No matter where your SharePoint site is, it will by default your default environment. That's how that message pack
Okay,
works.
okay, yeah. Let's have a full session complete, then we talk. Now, I have a totally previous lesson concept. So you talked about something which I'm not aware of. You can share me some link on what do you use the word modern site
Yes,
because
modern
you said
SharePoint site.
it should be only modern SharePoint site. Till now,
Yes,
I know only on-premise and online, SharePoint Online. What do you mean by modern site? Sorry, I'm not aware of.
modern SharePoint online site. So this is what it is. This is like their first limitations that we just talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Only modern SharePoint pages are supported. And now let's go into that. What do they mean by modern SharePoint pages? It's here. And they are
Okay,
saying as well that it is available in SharePoint. In Microsoft 3, some modern experiences are available with SharePoint Server, which is again your on-premise one. Okay, on-premise one as well. If you have used that, it is supporting. That's what it is claiming at this point as per this library. I mean,
okay. I'll
site.
go
This
through this
is,
document.
yep.
I'll go through this
Okay.
document. No. Now, another with respect to SharePoint and knowledge source.
Yep.
In general, when we start learning, we talked about something, uh, and you showed a one big diagram where how the data is getting chunked out and things. Now, my question
Yeah,
is,
it is for files.
y- files, yeah, files and files. So now my point is, as per my understanding, you when you upload the file from here, they sits in Dataverse, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Dataverse, then at the background some process happens which
Correct.
tries to chunk them.
Correct.
And in that we talked about something indexing
Vector
and
source.
vectors.
Yep.
So that is technically that's the engine that gets built up at the Dataverse. So
That's correct.
that's the flow. And you told was telling that once a normal user goes, they just go and use an API and talks to the data source, which is the vector data source. Correct or
That's
no?
something it was asked by someone that can I use, the question was at that time that can I use the direct vector database over here. Vector database is nothing but uh, an AI and machine learning language. This is a very common term that his question was, can I use the vector database as a knowledge source over here? Which means that not that which is converted or behind the scene that happened,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
Microsoft do that internally. But let's say if you have machine learning vector database, can I use it as a knowledge source? The answer is no, because right now, at least in Copilot Studio, you don't have any capability to add your own custom knowledge source over here as a option. Like here I don't see these connectors are available. This is what you can add at this point. Again, in future class, when we go with a model context protocol and all, at the time you can connect the external sources, but again the capabilities are limited at that time. So again, I mean, right now with this product, like, okay, instead of just a GPT model, can I use my own custom trained model in order to train this knowledge source? So yes, this capability is not there at this point. That was the question.
Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying all
Yeah.
these things. But quite
Yep.
interesting going on.
Okay. I can see next raise hand from Raj. You have question?
Yes, Levin. Only one quick
Yes.
question. When
Yes.
we are about the file sizes,
Yes.
so here with the different licenses, one is 7 MB and 200 MB, right?
Yes.
But when it is in the SharePoint, their SharePoint size limit is different. Like for latest version, it's about 1 GB or something, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
how
not
it's
a SharePoint limit. It's not a
okay?
SharePoint limit. It's a limit. SharePoint, you can upload even 1 GB or 2 GB file as well. I mean, it's nothing to do with SharePoint file size limit. Here I'm talking about even in this library, let's say
Yeah.
if I'm going to sales report library, here even if I'm having 100 MB file or maybe 500 MB file or 1 GB of file, it will not restricting me to train this thing. But what it is saying is when you make a query, let's say if you have
Okay.
a 1 GB file and if you make a query, it will not give you the answer from that because the file size is too
Oh,
big. So how that internal structure Microsoft is making to make that query to your knowledge source and give it to answer, that is not working. So it's nothing like SharePoint not supported. It's like Copilot Studio has that limitation to not query on a large file. That's what it is
so
all
if
about.
I'm uploading 1 GB file into the library, it will eliminate completely,
It
or
will
how
ignore
does it?
that. That's what they have written
Okay.
here as well. Let me just show you that
Uh,
statement. Where is the quota limit file that I have? Just a minute. Let me just open this reference link again. Quotas and limit. Okay, so when you look at this, okay, so what it is saying here, it is okay. See, SharePoint files that are under 7 MB can support with the generative answer. If a file size is larger than 7 MB, consider splitting into multiple small files. So what happen here is they are simply saying that it will ignore those particular files. I mean,
mhm.
even though file is there, it will not consider as your generative AI answers result. That's what it mean by. Okay,
No, 7 MB is too small. That means everybody
exactly.
will have an M365.
So that's why they
Okay.
come up with 200 MB. So if you have M365 Copilot license, so this is how the Microsoft work on the licensing, right? I mean, they
Uh,
know that 7 MB is less. So the main problem with this whole Copilot product is they have so much product. Okay, now Vikas' question was totally valid, and I'm totally agreed because many times we get a confused. His question is okay. According to him, like okay, most of the companies are already having
yes.
M365 Copilot, so they are already having this Copilot over here, right? So why they use this for the over here? I mean, that's what my sometimes like okay, if people are already having M365, why they are trying to make an effort to even make this whole Copilot agent? Until and unless they are having some other use cases and all, that's a different story. Otherwise, we can directly build it over here and just use it over here. I mean, there is no meaning of having that. But again, like they come up with okay, if you just have Copilot Studio, buy this additional, then you will get this additional. So this is how typical Microsoft licensing works. So in short, up to 200 MB you can use it out if you have the enough license. That's what the overall summary here. Okay.
So enterprise level, if you are developing any product, right? So where do you see Copilot, Copilot with Copilot agentic AI versus generalized agentic AI, where it can connect to all different sources,
This is the
right?
place
We
where you
got
can
so
see.
many limitations, right?
This is the only place where you can connect the multiple source together. If you are just using your normal SharePoint Copilot, it only supports SharePoint. If you are just using the dynamic side of thing, it only supports that module. So this is centralized place for low code developer where they can connect different sources. Let's say I want to connect this agent right now. I created this one, but with that I want to also connect website or other Dataverse. I can be able to connect it out here, but not at individual product level basically. So enterprise
Oh,
level, this is what it is being used. And again, if you're more into code base, you can use Azure AI Studio as well. That is another product which is having some more capability than this Copilot Studio.
okay, thank you.
Azure AI Foundry. Yeah. Okay. Anyone
Dhruvin,
else has? Yes.
yeah, Dhruvin, I just want to ask the Copilot, which resides on the sides, right? The icon. In this course, we will be covering that also.
No. That is
No, right?
M365 Copilot Lite. This is my in one use case, yes, I will show you, but I will use some other tenant to show you that scenario. In upcoming class, I have one concept around that. So at the time we'll talk about that a little bit, but not like because that is totally different than the original learning of the Copilot Studio. totally fall under the M365 space. And here we are talking about Power Platform Copilot Studio. That's what it is.
So making a studio and then configuring it onto M365, that happens?
Yes, that is happen. That's the reason I say, right, this is a central. You can integrate this one everywhere, but M365 one not integrated everywhere. Okay, that is the difference. If you want to make it more centralized, use this product basically. All right. I can see raise hand. Next, raise hand from Gopi.
Yeah, Dhruvin, is there any limitations to connect any number of data sources in one agent? Is there
15. 15.
15?
That's what yeah, in the first or second class itself, we talked about maximum how many data source, I mean, how many knowledge sources you can connect. 15.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Next, I can see reason from Nilesh.
Yeah, hi. So in
Yes.
one of our previous session, you mentioned when you're passing an external source like some URL, so it will accept maximum 2 stages like after slash.
Yes,
So,
that's
but when
correct.
we passed for SharePoint, so you selected a specific document library. It was third position. It was at third position.
Correct. Correct.
Then how it is accepting
It
here
is
when you are passing
accepting
a
because
URL?
it's not a public website. That limitation,
Okay.
I can remember. Public website and SharePoint website are two different things. Okay. So if in public site, that was the limitation. Okay. But here we are targeting any specific SharePoint site. So SharePoint can have subsite as well. SharePoint can have subsite and inside that document library as well. So yes, at that time it is supporting because it's a SharePoint specific. It understands that context because it's your internal source. While that was like a website level, why we had that? Because website is an external. It's not controlled by you. You can connect with the Wikipedia as well, or maybe you can connect with the Amazon website as well. It's a public facing. So in public facing, like okay, uh, whichever way internally that handles the query, it support maximum up to two breakpoints after forward slash. So that's why we have that limit. But SharePoint level, no, you don't have that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Next, I can see raising from Sagar. Sagar, you have a question? Maybe I'm not able to hear you if you're speaking anything. You are on mute, but still not able to hear you.
Hi Dhruvin, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible now.
Yeah, in the knowledge, we have future and advanced. Can we cover further sessions? We can Snowflake and
Yes.
config.
No, not Snowflake. We will talk about the Azure SQL, for sure. Not because
Okay.
this all the other sources require its own licensing as well. Not everyone
Okay.
has every license. So at least the Azure SQL part we'll talk about. Apart from that, of course, Dataverse we'll talk about. But
Okay.
the process is the same. It's just a matter that you need to make the
Hmm.
connection with the data source and work exactly the same that we are working with other data sources. Yeah.
Okay. In future here, for example,
Yes.
we have we are adding public websites.
Mm.
In our company like some like we are adding private website, we can't able to open, we cannot open, we can't able.
So private website means the intranet website are you talking about?
Yes, for example, my company portals is there some like I am trying, tried last week, I can able to open for other tenant.
Okay.
We
So
can
other,
able.
can you just give me the example? What kind of portal? Are you talking about SharePoint portal or are you talking about any web-based intranet portal that you have in your organization or
Yeah,
what?
in public website, I have added my organization related one site, one URL link. Okay,
Okay.
we can open in other like other persons. We cannot open. I think is correct.
It
Does
will
it?
not support those URL links. So which means
Okay.
that if you are having public facing website, let's say you have added other portals link into that portal, I mean that website, right?
Mm,
So I mean when you make any query from here,
mm,
from
mm.
your website, it will not even look at that link or even not look at that references. So it will not support basically.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
All
so
right.
thanks.
Okay, perfect. Next I can see raise hand from Shweta.
Yeah, hi Dhruvi. So I
Yes,
have one query. Whenever we make any changes in the file which we already uploaded in the SharePoint portal, so that
yes,
changes would be reflected immediately or any
yes.
like any particular time will be reflected.
No, it will reflect immediately. It will not take that time. This synchronization time of 4 to 6 hours is only for the first time when you are adding that. But again, for files, I haven't seen any limitation so far. I mean, it will be instant. So let's say if you upload new file tomorrow, or maybe let's say if you just make the changes into your existing file, it will work as expected because it is making the live graph search in the background to make that whole activity happen. So it will be live. But only thing is that when you are adding for the first time, they are recommending, we look at that in documentation as a 4 to 6 hours of time frame for the first time. Then no. Okay,
Okay, got it. Thank you.
perfect. Next, I can see raising from Raj.
Yes, Javin. Whenever you are getting this information, right? Can you please get the information on the Azure Databricks? I mean the Databricks part. Little bit more information when we are
Which one? Sorry, advanced part.
Databricks. Databricks, yeah, Azure Databricks.
Okay, I need to try that because I don't have any Databricks license actually. I mean,
Mm.
as a product, but
Like
I'll.
I just need like a limitations or
Okay,
anything
sure,
which we
sure,
can't do like that. Thank you.
sure. I'll consider that. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Next, I can see raising from Vikas. Vikas, you have question or is it covered already? I'm not sure.
I'm done. This till now.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
done.
sorry.
Thank
Okay,
Yes,
perfect. All right, great.
we
Okay,
need a
so we
break.
don't have to. Yes, of course. Let's take 5 minute break here and then we'll do the authentication part and then that is the last topic, but we'll cover up after the break. Okay, so it's a 5 minute break time now. Hopefully everyone is back. Maybe if you are back, just give me the reactions. Maybe we'll just wait for a moment. Okay, most of you are back. Okay, perfect. All right, now let's go to one more level up from here where we will publish this Copilot agent and we will see like how end user is going to be access that. Okay, but before that, there is one important concept we need to all understand about. Okay, so that concept is when you are done with building your Copilot agent. So let's say this is Sales Genie 2.0, which I built, which is I tested it out, looks good. Now I want to share it with the other people, or I need to configure the security on that agent. Then what are the different options available at the agent level? Let's talk about that. So specifically, go to the setting option of your Copilot agent first and go to the security option. Over here, you are having a dedicated authentication section available. And this is what it is saying. Select how your agent will authenticate the user's identity during the chat. Means which authentication user need to follow. That's something you need to define over here. All right. When we use the SharePoint connector, I told you that, okay, if the person don't have the access, they cannot be able to retrieve the information, which means that let's say SharePoint library level, that user don't have a permission. But let's say for an example, somehow accidentally they just open up the agent and try to make a query. They shouldn't get the enough information. Or maybe let's say the agent is shared with 1,000 people. Okay, let's say on one library we train, or maybe we just make that agent, and let's say out of 1,000 only 500 people can access a sales report, but other 500 people can access other information. Then if they ask any sales question, it should not be able to answer from it, right? How can we restrict that? That is where this authentication part come up into picture, where Microsoft has the tight security integrated, that only the part which you have access at your SharePoint level, you can you can access only that particular part over there. Okay, now let's see how this overall concept will work. So there are three options available mostly at the Copilot agent level. No authentication means your agent, I'm talking about agent means your chatbot, right? Your chatbot is available publicly. Second one, your agent is authenticated in the Microsoft. And last one is or set up authentication for any channel, which is like a manual authentication. Okay. Now, let's talk about very in general. All right, let me do no authentication first, which means that I'm not setting up any authentication at this point. Now, in this case, how my agent will work, or if I make any query, how my agent will behave. Let's have a quick look around that. Okay, so I'm just clicking on save at this point. When you try to do with the no authentication, basically it will first of all prompt you that no authentication means anyone can access the agent. Okay, who is not even sign in. Authentication variables are not used in any of the topic, and you can't show the agent to the colleague in the Teams app store because the agent is not using any Azure AD authentication, and automated triggers based on the event will run using the credential of the author provided by the created trigger. Okay, so simply what does it mean is, okay, if you are not using any authentication, then of course, like everyone, I mean, if you have the URL of the chatbot agent, if you are trying to make a query, it will make it. But again, here one more extra level of security is there. So even let's say I'm doing no authentication at this point over here. Okay, and whenever you do the authentication changes, you need to publish the agent. So go to the publishing. As soon as you go to the publishing, this is where you can publish your agent. You need to publish it out. And as soon as you publish this out, your agent is going to be published. Okay. Now, what happen here is SharePoint Dataverse, this native connector require authentication. So, even though now what happen is it is published at this point, you can see here, all right, and you can see here like you have one risk, it is showing you as well that your agent does not require end user authentication. That is fine. Okay, because I intentionally make it no authentication. Now what happen here is there are different channels where you can share this agent. So if you want to publish on your public facing website this agent, or if you want to integrate in your Teams, or if you want to integrate in your SharePoint, different channels are available. Okay, but the thing is that, I mean, every channel has some sort of rules. So let's say demo website is fine when you are having no authentication. Only at that time on demo website it is possible. When you go into this Teams and Microsoft 365, you know, it is disabled over here. Why it is saying that? That because you have no authentication, you can't do this activity. You can't do it in your Teams and M365 Copilot, because this channel require minimum like a that basic authentication. I mean, at least one of the real authentication is required. Then only it you will be able to integrate that over there. Okay, same way if you look at this SharePoint channel over here as well, the same thing. You can't be able to do this because you don't set up any authentication. So it's simply restrict you. Okay. Now in demo website, okay, let's say it's not restricting. So let's publish it and see how it looks like. Okay. So let's say here you can provide any name. You need to just provide any welcome message to the agent. Okay. So I'm just providing over here the name as Sales Genie. Okay, and you can just provide some sort of prompt over here which user can at least user understand that okay, I need to make this kind of question to the agent. So maybe I can just ask some of the question like okay, sales for iPhone, or let's say I'm adding one more prompt called sales for Maruti Suzuki. You can provide any kind of starter prompt. Okay, or maybe YMCA sales strategy. Okay, just provide like this, click on save. All right, so basically it's ready now. All right, then it is providing you this kind of URL which you can render in your iframe for any website. I'm copy this URL. Okay, and now I'm going to any browser window and paste the URL. Okay, basically this will open this kind of agent or chat agent. Okay, currently it is rendering like this because we haven't configured it anywhere else, but you know, this is how it will show you as a chat agent. Obviously you can modify it, I mean the way you want, you can make it out. Okay, but this is how it's just showing you on the demo website like this. Okay, now it is saying that okay, hello sales genie, this is blah blah blah, and now let me make a query and let's see, because I'm public, I mean right now I'm anonymous user, I'm not authenticated user. Okay, and let me make a query sales for Maruti Suzuki and let's see what will happen. See, it will throw an error. What error it is throwing? That an error has occurred, error code authentication not configured. So no matter, I mean, you have the agent access, but you don't you are not an authenticated user, right? So you will not be able to access, because SharePoint at the data level had that security layer that not anyone from the public internet can just hijack your chat agent, make a query and they will get a result, until and unless you know they do not, they are not an authenticated user. They can't make this to be happen. Okay, so remember about that thing. All right, now let's say sometimes you have a need that okay, even though you configured your chat agent on the public site, but what I want here is okay, if I'm asking this kind of question, then maybe it will prompt for a login, that login and verify your identity that you are a correct user, then I will give you the answer. But otherwise I will not give you the answer for the question that you are asking. If you want to do that, then what are the other options available? Let's talk about that. So first option is no authentication, means zero authentication. Zero authentication, let's say if you are just having public facing website and all, and from that if you are searching anything, it will answer it out. But SharePoint, Dataverse, this kind of data sources which must require authentication, you are not be able to get any answer from those data sources when you are just using no authentication. Okay, number one is that. Now let's go to the second authentication mechanism. So go to the setting again, and this time go to the security again, and let's try the last option now, which is this option, authenticate with Microsoft and authenticate manually. Okay, let's first explore authenticate manually over here. All right, and then we will go with authenticate with Microsoft. It's very easy one, so we don't it's very simple and easy. Okay, but let's do authenticate manually. Now what is this option? Let me tell you, as I said you at the very beginning, right? Like you integrated in your public facing website, but at the time you want to provide some sort of prompt to the user that verify your identity, and if you are verified user, then probably I will give you the search result. Otherwise I will not give you the search result. Let's say if you want to have that capability, how you can do that? For that, there are two options available. If you are just integrating in your Teams or SharePoint, then probably you can just go with the authenticate with Microsoft. So it's like a single sign-on. So in your Teams, you are already signed in. In your SharePoint, you are already signed in, right? So it will just take that context and authenticate automatically when your chatbot is loading for the first time, and it will give you the result. It's very simple, straightforward, and very popular way of authenticating. But let's say you have a requirement like on public facing website, you don't have a SSO, single sign on, right? At the time the user need to sign in and prove their identity. For that, this option is used, that is authenticate manually. Okay, now remember one thing, authentication change process, like okay, no authentication to you make this or this, right? It's not that simple. Okay, remember one thing, sometimes what happens is, right now this is one bug into this Copilot Studio as well, that sometimes let's say you did this authenticate with Microsoft, you publish your agent, you already started using this option into your Teams in your SharePoint. After that, if you are trying to change it, your Copilot Studio is breaking up sometimes. Okay, so for safer side, what I'm doing right now is, because this option is a little bit lengthy, so I'm just going to talk about that right now. And this is very simple, so even if my Copilot agent is breaking, we have another agent created already for that list. We will do that authentication with that one. Okay, because it's a very simple one. But let's try this now, authenticate manual option, because there I need to explain you much more steps, because it require some sort of Azure application registration as well, because when you are authenticate to the external websites and all, and at the time you want that SharePoint will return you the secure data with respect to the user context, you need to use this option, authenticate manually option. Okay, so let's talk about that. Select authenticate manually from here. You need to make sure this switch is turned on, that you require users to sign in. So they must need to prove the identity before they are getting the result. Okay. And over here, there are different service provider options available, like Entra ID. Earlier it was calling as a Azure Active Directory. Now it is calling as a Entra ID. Okay, so simply we can use this option Entra ID v2 with client secret option. Okay, there are other identity provider as well. So let's say if you are having the federated credential, or if you are having the certificate for the authentication, or generative OAuth 2 authentication, if you want to use it out, it's different from organization to organization. But 95 to 99% of the cases, we just use this option, client secret authentication, because it's fairly easy to implement it over here with SharePoint Dataverse, any kind of data sources for a secure authentication. Okay, so we'll just use this. So what happens is your agent will start making the query, only your identity is getting proven over here. Okay, so let's use this option, Entra ID with client secret. Okay, now obviously you need a client secret, so you need to register an app at the Azure level. So again, same like other any other project like app registration, we can do the same activity here as well. For that, simply you need to open portal.azure.com first. I'm just opening that up. Go to Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, and there is a section called app registration. Again, this is something at most of the organization you cannot do it by your own. Mostly your tenant admins are doing this whole activity for you. Okay, so click on app registration. As soon as you do that, click on the new registration from here. Okay, and just provide any name for your application. So I'm just providing over here Copilot Studio, Sales Genie, Batch 23. Okay, I'm just providing this kind of Azure application registration name. Okay, let's click on register. You don't need to do any other changes at this point. Click on register, and this will create your app registration. Okay, It is just doing, and I'm not doing any advanced steps here, guys. Okay. I mean, what I'm doing here is, when you look at my documentation over here, okay, the hands-on file after I upload this out, okay, all the theories are I'm already providing here. This is the step. This, when you open this document, it has all this step of app registration. I'm just following those. It's a predefined step that we need to do when we want to do that authentication. Okay, so I'm just doing that. All right. If you don't want to follow documentation, just follow this recording step or this step that I'm performing live at this point. Okay. Now, when the app is registered, click on the client ID from here because that is what we need in the future. So I'm just copy this client ID, paste into Notepad, and making sure I just capture it. This is my client ID. Okay, because later on I need this one. Okay, and then what I need to do is I need to generate the client secret. And for that, simply go to certificate and secret option here, and there is an option new client secret, that till how long time you want to create that secret. Click on that, provide any description, that sales genie secret. Okay, and different expiry limits are there. You want to expire that after 3 months, 12 months, depending on your need. Okay, so I'm like, okay, after 6 months I want to restore that secret, so I'm making 6 months. Okay, and it is just giving me this kind of secret value. So copy this value from here because this is what we want in the future as well. So copy this to clipboard. Okay, and paste it in your one of the notepad file, secret. Paste this secret key over here. Okay, simply I'm doing this. And then next step is you need to go to the API permission, and you need to supply some of the permission when you are specifically targeting SharePoint as a source. Okay, so simply click on add permission. And when you click on add permission, basically you just need to go with the graph connector because this is again, which is clearly articulated in the documentation itself, because when you use SharePoint Dataverse, these connectors, specifically, you just need to think about that step as well. Okay. So simply go to the API permission, and what are the permissions required? They just mentioned that you need to go with the graph permission and you need to provide some delegated permission. So 5 different permission we need to supply here. Okay, so let's do it one by one. So select Microsoft Graph, select the delegated permission from here. Okay, so I'm just selecting delegated permission. And now over here, let me start typing my permission and what permissions are required. I provided here the screenshot. Okay, first permissions we need require at the by default when you are adding for the very first time, like user.read is already been added. Okay, but rest of the stuff like, okay, sites.read.all, so which is more on the SharePoint site. Okay, then files.read.all, which is again reading all your files. Okay, and then OpenID and profile, these permissions we need to simply supply it out. Okay, so let's do this thing. So I'm just, first of all, I'm just searching for to stuff OpenID. So when you do OpenID, you just need to sign in users in. It is responsible for that. So let's just provide that OpenID permission. Second permission, profile, because obviously I want to read the context of the user. So profile permission I need to supply. After that, site dot sites. Okay, so when you are doing the sites, okay, it is having this one sites.read.all. So obviously they require site to read the site permission, so we require that as well. So we just apply it out. Next we need file dot files. Okay, files.read.all, so they can able to read the files. Okay, so I'm just supplying that files.reads.all. And last I am supplying, okay, so I have selected 4 permission and user.read was already there. Let's add a permission. So I'm just supplying this permission over here. And now I just need to click on this one, grant admin consent. So you are just allowing the users to access those information. So again, administrator privileges is required to grant this permission at the Azure level. So I'm just supplying that and I'm just having that information over here. Looks good, looking nice. Okay, Now, what next you need to do? At least you did this information. And after that, what you need to go here with, go to your Copilot agent. And again, we need to do one more thing here, that when we set this up, go to the overview section over here. And there is an option here called redirect URLs. Okay, click on that, add redirect URL. Okay, over here, there is an option called platform configuration. Click on add platform. And over here, you need to select like web and you need to provide redirect URL. And how to find the redirect URI? So simply go to your agent and you can see here when you selected this authenticate manually, it will give you this redirect URI. Copy this URI and go to your Azure portal again and paste that URI over here. I'm just pasting this out and make sure these two tick boxes are on, access token and ID tokens, and click on configure. Okay, it's not like any advanced step I perform. It's just like a some guide that they have provided if you want to do that, because it's more on the Azure concept. Okay, to do that authentication, we need to follow these steps. So if you are more at the Azure level, you will have probably an idea like what is app registration, what is a delegated permission, what is app permission, right? At that time, those concepts come up into too much detail. But right now, as we are consuming it, we are not going to that nth level of detailing that what is app registration. Or it's a common mechanism. Like no matter if you are using SharePoint or if you are using Dataverse, or when you are working with the API development and all, you need the app registration for the different kind of authentication. Similar way here as well, we are doing the same thing. Okay, so we are done with overall app registration part. Okay, now we need to go back to the Copilot Studio here, and now we need to just provide the client ID, client secret over here. So let me supply that out. So I'm just copy this client ID, which we already keep it up, and I'm providing my client secret. So I'm just supplying that as well. Okay, that's it. And click on save. And it will just save you that, okay, authentication. I mean, it is just showing that new authentication, you need to publish it to make the changes available. If sign-in is required, your agent won't respond automated trigger. Only users that have shared agent with that, they can use it. Okay, it's a fine. Click on save. It's saving the change perfectly and it's saved perfectly. And now we just need to publish our agent to make that reflection. Click on publish. Okay. And I'm just clicking on publish button over here again. Click on publish. And here I am, my agent is published. Now I cannot see any more risk over here because now it is authenticated. Okay, and now what happened here is, let's say for an example, I'm just refreshing my agent over here. And now what happened here is, now no matter where you are using this agent, okay, even in this particular taste one, you can see that I started doing the tasting, but it is saying that Dhruvin log in first, because you need to prove your identity here, that you are the right user or authenticated with the user, so we can show you right content. Okay, so it is asking you the login as soon as your agent is loading when you are using that authentication. Okay, click on login. As soon as you log in, basically it will authenticate. Okay, and it will give you this kind of code, and what it is saying that please enter this code for the validation into your chat window, and then you can start your question asking. Copy this. When you paste this, after that only you can able to start some question, or you can be able to ask something to your agent, because you set up the manual authentication process, because which is required for many of the process. Like now, if we look at the use case here for this authentication, let's say I'm going to the channel and now I'm going to the demo website over here. Okay, let's me do again sales genie. Okay, and I'm just providing that, okay, Maruti sales and maybe YMCA sales. Okay, click on save. Save first. Okay, otherwise website will not work. You need to save first. Copy this link. Okay, and now let's go to the any unauthenticated places. I'm totally opening the different browser. Okay, and I'm opening this agent, and let's see what will happen. Okay, so I'm here, and see, even though it is an unknown website, unknown URL, it first asking you that authenticate yourself first. That's how I will know that I will need to provide the result from the SharePoint. Okay, it's that much of secure. Now, what happens is before starting this agent, you must need to log in. So it know that which identity you use to log in into the system, and depending on your access, it can show you the different information. So what it will do, it will first ask you the login. So it will open up the new window like this, where you need to authenticate first. So let me log in with my account through win at powerplatformtrainings.com. Let's click on next. Let me enter my credential. Let me sign in. Let's click on yes. Once you do the sign in, it will give you the code that okay, this is your authentication code. Copy it, and it give you the description here itself. Please enter this valid code in the chat window to sign in. So copy this code, go here, paste this out, and hit enter. Now it will allow you to ask the question. Now let's say if I'm asking you the Maruti sales, then it will connect to your SharePoint and it will give you the answer, because now when you are entering, it know that who is the person who is making the query, because you log in with Dhruvin's identity. It understands that okay, Dhruvin's identity is considered, and that credential passed to your SharePoint, and based on the access, it just retrieve and give you the information over here into the agent like this. Okay, now this is like more generic way. Like, okay, if you are having the website, you go with this authentication. That is fine, guys. Okay, but what if I'm integrating in the teams, right? At the teams, I should not ask like the same thing again and again, like okay, log in and enter the code and blah blah blah, all this information, right? I cannot survive with that kind of stuff in the teams and in SharePoint or native Microsoft product where we are integrating, right? At the time, they provide you the single sign-on capability with M365 authentication, which is my next type of authentication. So when you go to the settings again, and when you go to the security, there is another authentication which we park, which is authenticate with Microsoft. Now, when you use this particular authentication, at that time, what will happen? It will not, I mean, with authenticate with Microsoft, you cannot configure on the public facing website. That's number one point. Okay. Public facing website do not support with authenticate with Microsoft. If you want to do public facing website, you need to use this one with SharePoint. Okay, when you use authenticate with Microsoft, you can do within the Teams or you can do within your SharePoint like that way. Okay, so when you have the native Microsoft product and you need the single sign-on of that particular product context, you can simply use this one. It's very simple. Okay, I'm simply clicking on save at this point, and then we can able to test this out. Okay, so I'm just showing you this right now, but I'm just hesitating to do that because I will lose that other one. But anyway, let's do it. Okay, so I'm just clicking on save at this point. Okay, click on save. Maybe it will allow or not, I'm not sure, because earlier it is bug. Okay, it's allowing. It's publish. Perfect. And now go to the publishing. Okay, so you publish your change now. I'm publishing this now. Okay, and when you use the Microsoft authentication with native product authentication, okay, you can see demo website. If you do that, it will disable now, because with just Microsoft authentication you can't do that. At that time you need to use manual authentication, which means user need to prove the identity because it's a public facing URL. Okay, but now you use the native Microsoft integration, you can do into SharePoint or Teams. So let's say I'm going to here in the Teams. Okay, so it will provide me this option that you can deploy this agent at two places, either in Teams or even in your Microsoft 365 homepage. In your M365 Copilot level, if you want to deploy it, you can deploy there as well. Two options are available. Okay, and let's click on add channel at this point. And once you do this thing, it basically enable this chat agent for the Teams level. Okay, so at your Teams, it will be available now. So you can see here, once you do that, it shows that, okay, channel was added. Okay, now if you want to edit any details over here, like changing the icon or anything, you can do it over here. All right. But right now we are not going to too much into that detail. Even there is an option as well that how many teams people can able to access that thing and all, which we will talk about in the next class. But let's just focus on the publishing part and how it looks like in the teams. At least that part we can finish right away. Okay, so when you go to the teams and Microsoft 365 Copilot, you already added that channel. So now you are having this over here, and now you are having two options over here. You want to see your agent in the teams, or you want to see your agent into Microsoft 365 Copilot. So let's click on see this agent in the teams. As soon as you do that, it will ask you that open your teams. So I'm opening my teams desktop. Okay, you can open in the web version as well. So I'm opening this into my desktop. So let me just share my other screen where it opened. Just a minute. Let me do one thing. Let me open this screen here so you can see it right away. Okay, let me click on this again. See the agent in the Teams. Open Microsoft Teams. And once you do that, it will open up this kind of prompt in your Teams desktop. Or if you want to taste into your browser, you can do the browser tasting as well. Both the places it will support. It will start prompting it out and it will show you the agent. Again, sometimes it is taking the time, guys. Okay, it's not something that as soon as you publish it will appear here. You know, see, it's throwing me an error like this. Okay, don't worry about that. Will take some time. All right, so we need to just wait for a few more minutes, or maybe you just can try again. Okay, now it is showing to you, right? If that happens, just click on again. Sometimes it is taking 5 to 10 minutes as well, so wait for that and click on add, and this will add to your teams. Okay, let's add this. So as soon as you add this thing over here, see, it's added. And now you can simply open this up. So, you know, it will show you as this kind of chat message over here. Okay, this is your Microsoft Teams. And over here, you can see this Sales Genie 2.0. That's what we deploy. It's available over here. Okay, so now you can start typing anything to it like, hi, let me just type this. And it will just show me, how can I help you today? I'm saying that, okay, Maruti Suzuki sales. Okay, and I can able to get the answer over here as well. And again, here it will use the Teams identity. In Teams, you are already logged in, right? Through win@powerplatformtrainings.com. So that's where it getting the context that, okay, you authenticated already. So it's not asking you or prompting you again and again for the login. It just take the identity from your Teams, it pass it to the SharePoint and get the data according to it. Okay, that's how it will work here. This is like your Teams result. Okay, so that's how you did in the Teams. All right, even you know, the thing is that there are various options available as well, which we will talk about in the future classes, that currently you deploy it at the teams level, right? Currently you are only the developer who is testing with that. But let's say if you want to share it with the specific people, if you want to share it with the entire organization, if you want to automatically deploy this chat agent to every team, how you can do that? That's in our future class that we are going to do about more automation around that. But this is what I'm talking about at the authentication level, that how you can apply your authentication with the Microsoft authentication. In case if you are having M365 Copilot license, and if you click on see in Microsoft 365, this is the homepage nowadays for Microsoft 365. Okay, it will open that as an app over here and show you the Copilot here as well, that okay, this is your M365 homepage. You want to integrate your custom agent over here, then you can do that as well. But again, for that you require M365 license, Copilot license. So now if you are trying to add that over here, probably it will not allow you, because in this particular tenant I do not have any kind of M365 Copilot license. So it didn't add it and it didn't close the pop-up. But if you have it, you will be able to see this this added over here on your homepage as well, where you can make a query from your custom Copilot agent that you build upon. Okay, so that's it all about the authentication piece at the uh, Copilot agent level. Mainly three options, as I explained you. No authentication means zero authentication. But again, with SharePoint and Dataverse, it will not work because it must require authentication. Second option will be single sign-on option, which is like a Microsoft 365, I mean, authenticate with Microsoft. So all the product which are available as a Microsoft 365 native support, it uses that. So it will not prompt you, it will automatically take the identity from it. And last option, authenticate manually, which means that wherever you are using that agent, person need to log in with their account to prove their identity, and then only Copilot agent will get the result from it. Okay. So this is all about authentication, and this is the last piece. Obviously, Dataverse we haven't started. Maybe next class we will start, but this is all about the authentication. I'm just wanted to talk about it the very high level. All right. Now I would like to pause here pause here for a moment. If anyone has any question, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll see on the Monday class the later information. All right. So stage is open for Q&A. If anyone has any question, feel free to raise up your hand. I can see first raise hand from Sagar. You have a question?
Yeah, Dhruvin. Here we can add any limitations of chatbots in Teams. For example, we added one chatbot. We can any 5 to 10, like any the specific limits.
50, maximum
50.
50,
Maximum
50,
50.
50 chatbots you can integrate within the teams, not more than. Right now it is 50, but I'm thinking that they will increase this limit soon in the future, because 50 is again limited number, but right now it's 50. That's the case.
Okay, okay. And in the Copilot also we have some limitations, I think.
Yeah. So in the Copilot, it means Microsoft 365 homepage, if you want to have, I am not sure about its limit, how much maximum it can support combinedly. So I need to check on that and come up the answer with that. But Teams level, it's 50. That's what I know at this point.
Okay. Recently here adding like Copilot in Teams Outlook, can add same like chatbot also. One of the, I think.
Sorry,
Eh,
what you are saying?
in recently new feature is came Copilot in Teams Outlook also. Like we can add in the Outlook also. It possible?
Yes, so it is like, when it's nothing, it's same. It's just a matter
Mhm.
that, okay, when you use this authenticate with Microsoft, okay, and when you publish to this M365 Copilot, okay, once you publish it over here, I mean, your app is available over here, it can be called from anywhere. So let's say in your Outlook, you are having a native Copilot over there. At that time, you can communicate with that published Copilot you are having there. I'll show you the demo around that in the future class. I have already planned around that. So whatever custom agent that you build, because for that I need to open the another tenant where I have that M365 Copilot license as well. At that time, with native Office product as well, you can be able to communicate with the Copilot agent. Okay,
Yeah, thanks.
perfect. Next, I can see raise hand from Shweta.
Yeah, so I have one question. So do for the like the option which we selected as your things authentication part as authentication manually. So in this case, we don't need to give extra permission to user because right because it is
Correct,
running context the
correct.
Copilot whatever authentication we कर. But what about the authentication with Microsoft? So in this case, whatever the user accessing the files so it will be run context the login user.
Users,
So
correct.
in this case, do we need to give extra permission to that user for
Extra
particular site?
permission. Extra permission means it will just follow your native security, means the SharePoint level, whatever security model you have. I mean, SharePoint level, let's say for an example, you have the file based security, it will just follow that. So if you want that, okay, user can able to get the answer from it, then of course yes, site level you need that user should have a permission, otherwise it will not give you any result from it basically. So to your answer, yes, if you are using authenticate with Microsoft, and let's say they go to the chatbot, they ask a question, but let's say at file level, SharePoint level, they don't have an access, then it will not give you any result. I mean, it will not be able to find out that result for you. That's how it works. So yes, at SharePoint level as well, you need to maintain that permissions for your users with whomever you are sharing the Copilot agent.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Next, I can see raise hand from Gopi.
Yeah, Dhruvin, in like authentication manual, starting you
Yes,
said like we don't have to some guys don't have to create that client ID something.
yes.
The those session who will provide that client ID something?
This client ID and client secret, let's say if you are thinking to use this manual authentication, you need
Yeah.
to connect to your Entra team from your organization.
Mm.
So you need to tell them that I want to create this authentication and this is what I'm going to build and it is reading the data from the SharePoint and all. So please create an app registration for me. So they will do on behalf of you. So they will
Mhm.
perform this whole activity. Maybe you can just share that reference link that what permission you need and all. I already covered up over here in this particular case. So you can just provide that reference link to them. They will do it for you and they will provide you the client ID and client secret. And that's where, you just need to configure it and it's all done after that. So basically Entra team, any Azure Active Directory team is something in your organization are responsible for that most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Next, I can see raise hand from Javed.
Yes, Drovin. When the agent doesn't have a permission to find an answer, right? Does it give a warning, or he just ignore things and give nothing? Does it tell me,
It's
okay, I don't have permission to find certain answers?
Yeah, so that's what it do. So when we did that website authentication, let me see if I have still that open. So just a minute. Let's say here it is, right? So you are talking about authenticated user or non-authenticated user?
Okay, let's say I mean, the agent doesn't have any permission to look. He doesn't have any permission to. Let's say it is an authenticated user, but does not have permission to view certain files on SharePoint.
Okay, they don't get any result. So they just get a result that I'm not able to find out the result for you. Something like that message you are having. In case if you are having that, if you have in your teams, and let's say here I am, let's say here I am, and let's say I do not have permission on the Dr. Reddy file. Okay, someone else have, but I don't have the file. So what it does, it take the authentication from it that okay, Dhruvin has permission on this file. No, it doesn't. Then maybe it will not give you any result, and maybe it will show the message that I'm unable to find the data that you are looking for, or something this kind of message it will prompt you. But it
Okay,
will not tell you that you don't have permission or something. It just say you that okay, I'm not able to find out because obviously behind the scene you don't have the permission on that file level. Okay,
okay. Thank you.
perfect. All right. Next, anyone has any question before we wrap up? Okay, let me check the chat window. I can see the stuff from PowerS integration with the Copilot custom agent. Yes, PowerS can be integrated with the custom agent. We'll see that because I have planned the demo for that. It's very easy. I mean, you can do that.
Yeah, I've tried to look into the document and did it. My question is how stable it is because it still shows in preview.
It's still in preview. That's correct. So again, like I mean, it's not that stable. I would still recommend not to use it based on my personal experiences.
I was
I
trying
mean,
to actually,
yeah.
there are a lot of very, very senior and when I say senior, aged people, 60, 65 years old people, you can
Mm,
imagine retired ones even, they are using some system and they created a very nice, uh, some 100 pages document and for
uh-huh.
anything they are referring it. It's a technical usage of a application.
Okay.
So I try to put it. It's working. I'm feeling very confident it is working, but I don't want to disclose them till I feel that it is stable. Because if you know with the organization, if you just say it's working, and like we have a
They
list
rely
issue,
upon that.
like a list issue which we are having, they say we have released the list, and technically list I've been going through some other article. It's not working. So I was just looking for. So
So
anytime
let
when
me
you
tell
feel,
you, yeah,
yeah,
so let me tell you, if you are just having the text-based content, go ahead,
yeah.
use it. It will fine. But if you have SharePoint or Dataverse integrated with the agent, no, I would say no,
No,
don't do
no,
it.
no, no, no. I've just added a knowledge source as a
Then it is
one
fine.
word
And
document,
yeah, and
and
even if it is less than 7 MB, then it is fine. All good. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, thank you.
Yep.
For the end customer, it's quite unique.
Yeah, I know. It's a
They
very
start
unique
feeling that
concept, and yes, yes.
they feel that they are now working in AI mode for their dedicated product.
Okay. I see, I see. But are they convinced with the, I mean, if they have licensing, that's fine. But I mean, that is the main problem. Like whenever we want to do this kind of good concept, sometimes they are hesitating to buy the licenses for those services. So,
Yeah, something which I'm doing is I get only paid if I show innovations.
okay, I see. Okay, I see. Okay, good. Perfect. I don't have any more thing to bring up today's class. We'll continue Dataverse in next class. If anyone has anything, feel free to. Otherwise, have a great weekend ahead and see you in the Monday class then. Right. Thanks everyone. See you.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.